Hey, Lord, hang on. Invite. I saw Selwyn come in. I see Jules. And did you happen to share to, hey, Amy, did you happen to share to Sherry?
Who?
Sherry?
Yes. Yep, I did. Let me because I just said just click on your name when it goes to live and then you'll invite her.
Well, my kid's Doritos are in the background.
Oh, oh my goodness.
That's fun. Hang on. Because of this new charger, I don't like it. Um, I'll just do this. I gotta share. I hate that it doesn't just share to people.
Hmm.
Let me share to my mother. Y'all, I have been in agony this week.
Hello?
We hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can hear.
Oh, crap.
Oh,
Um,
Because I see some ladies tonight. Should be having my baby. My baby.
oh no. Don't make me
Oh,
have
no,
to
what?
mute you right out of the gate.
what?
Listen, stop that mess. Stop that mess.
I
What's
had a
up, my
nap, so I'm in
lovely
a good mood.
ladies? Are you? What's up,
No.
my lovely ladies?
It was a very unsatisfactory nap. Hey Sue. Hey Kirby. Um, you're putting what in the hell?
I shared it to Sherry again too.
Okay.
And I just text her, so
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, let me see if I can. What? Oh, okay. Um,
Amy, Julie,
what? What? What?
do you know
Hey
who I
mother.
met? Do you know who I met today?
Who?
I met Sherry.
Oh, I knew you were going to.
Yeah, pretty cool.
There you go.
there she is.
Yep.
Can you hear
Hello,
me?
everyone. Can you
Hey
hear me?
May. May, we're going to be following up, talking about Tyler Weathersby. We're also going to be talking about Morgan Bauer, and her mom is here with us tonight.
Hello.
Is Sherry on?
I am. Can you hear me?
Hello, my love.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You know, dear, I'm still hanging around with all these soul sisters, so I'm getting hell. I am getting hell, girl. I
You
am.
wish we baby you.
No, y'all do. Them soul sisters, they mean to me.
He is
They
babied.
they treat me like my sister. They make me pump gas,
I have a Tesla.
and they made me take pictures. And you know, I don't do any of those.
You love it.
No, I don't. My picture taker wasn't with me.
Oh my God. um,
It's
I
75 degrees, and I got a tan with Sherry today.
Yeah.
tan. To get some more freckles.
I got a
Oh,
couple more. You should see Sherry. Sherry is little bitty old 5'4", and she is tatted down to show everybody she's a badass.
I don't know about that, but
I
it is
love her
definitely
spirit, man.
definitely
I
how I
love the
live.
spirit, love the spirit, love the power, just love her aura. She is a bad little thing. She is a hell of a warrior. So this is going to be a very interesting conversation tonight, man. Very interesting.
I'm excited.
I am. I am like Popeye the Sailor Man. Toot toot.
I'm almost finished sharing.
Are you?
Yes. I wish it would just have a thing to just like share all and then I could just, it's just one and done.
Get down to work.
But no.
Did
Um,
you share on the group page? Did you put it there?
no.
Okay.
I'm trying not to do that. I
Hold
don't
on.
know if you guys have been following what's been going on there, but there's some weirdness, man.
On which group?
Um, any of them. Hey, Terrence.
Oh, oh, you
Um,
talking about the Tyler groups?
yeah.
Oh, there's some weirdness. Yes, there is.
Well, there's some people that are doing weird things like sending out skulls with laughing emojis randomly.
Wow. Hmm.
Those are demonic souls.
Hey, I don't know if I follow Christy. Now I do. There are, and I'm telling you, what I've witnessed over this past week has just been mind blowing.
Wow. They're sending that stuff to you?
No,
Wow. Hmm.
no, but I'm
Nope. Amy just paused. Amy Sullivan, I don't know if you lost you
Maybe they're talking to each other.
guys.
I am not. Can Yes, you can share in groups. You just have to like do the you have to do the link. It'll give you a link that you can do. Hang on, let's see. There we go.
And did I
Okay.
stop loving me? How long has it been? Such a memory. Na 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 na. Darling, when did you stop loving me?
Oh my God, you're killing me. I'm gonna need
Ah,
some good music.
you're gonna need some good music.
Yeah, we need good music.
One for the money and two for the show. Three to get ready now. Go, cat, go, and don't you step on my blue suede shoes.
Oh
You
my
can
God.
do anything. You can lay off them blue suede shoes.
All right, Steved. I'm gonna. That was a good one. Okay. I don't know if all of you guys are ready. And by the way, if I have anybody blocked, from last week, um,
Unblock 'em.
please just let me know. You have to like tell one of the mods. It's the, in case you're not used to being over here, it's the people that have the little things out beside their name. Because I don't think I can go in and unblock while I'm live, but they can.
Do they need to message them or something, or what do they need to do to get unblocked?
I
I
mean,
know
they could
there's a couple of
message
people that
them.
got blocked.
They could say it in here. I don't care how they do it.
Okay.
Yeah, some people got blocked. I'm not a big blocker. You're laughing at my blocked. You're not blocked because I can see you. Um, why are you laughing at my blocked list?
Block 'em. Block 'em. Block 'em. We need a gong. Remember in the old days, for those that are over 50, not talking about you, Amy, but the
I'm
gong
not
show?
over 50.
That's what I said. I'm not talking to you, Amy. Uh, the gong show where you would gong people?
I remember that though.
The gong show.
The user, I'm watching you. If you're in here and you're commenting, you're not blocked, I'm guessing.
They're
Yes, they are.
not. They are?
Okay.
Yeah, I can see them. They're not blocked.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They said, how do we know if we're blocked?
Um,
We don't want you blocked. We don't want you blocked. I'm watching you. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a burner account for someone. I don't know who though. I
is
Mm-hmm.
don't
it?
know people in this community though.
What's happening, Justice for Ronald?
Hey, Joe.
Sh-
All right.
Sharon.
We who was it? Christy, were you able to share the link? Sarah.
Uncle says hello and I love you.
Um,
Morgan was from Aberdeen.
let me see. I don't know how you can do that. Oh, okay. So when you go down to the bottom, Christy,
Yes, I
go
was.
to
I actually talked
go
to his brother Greg.
go to the the arrow thing, and if you scroll over where it has like the has like I don't know, has like all your apps that come up, like mine's text, Messenger, Snapchat, WhatsApp, all of that. It has a blue link and it says just copy the link.
Mona.
Okay. If you can't get it, just let me know and I'll run share it real quick. Yes, we did talk to him. Oh,
It was quite an interesting conversation here.
um, okay, hold on. Am I on that one? Is that the one that I got blocked from?
The what happened to Tyler Page?
Yeah.
Nope. You're not blocked from that one.
Okay, I'll go share it.
That one, nobody gets blocked from that one. Here, Christy, I'll get it. Just
Okay, it should be up there now.
Christy, you're gonna have to do it. I can't do it.
I to which one?
The what happened to Tyler?
I just shared it there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Um, so I think Laura, is it okay if I just kind of give you the floor and you run with it?
Yeah, unless someone wants to do his introduction.
Of of course,
Yeah,
someone always wants to do his introduction.
He
of
wants to
course I
be,
do.
yes, he wants to be in charge. Let him do it.
I'm not in charge, man. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a meaningful conversation again. We have a very special guest this week. She was the mother of Morgan Bauer that got missing in South Dakota 7 years ago. So she's going to jump on to give us her perspective on how she handled a lot of the rhetoric that we are hearing over this missing Tyler Weathersby in South Dakota, everyone. So, ladies, how are y'all doing today? That was my serious voice, too, by the way, y'all.
Doing well. Thank you for
Are
asking.
doing well.
Good. Told you I took a
Uh,
nap.
well, it's time to wake up. Miss Morgan, I Miss Sherry, could you come to the front of the building and tell us who you are and why you chose to be with us to share some of your insight on these particular situations, my dear, please?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sherry Keenan, and I'm Morgan Bauer's mom. Morgan was missing for 7.5 years until her body was recovered. We just had her funeral in October. Her missing date and angel date is actually coming up February 26th. The
God bless
reason
you.
Thank you. The reason I was asked to be here, but the reason that it was important for me to show up was because when Morgan's case first broke out, there was a lot of confusion as to what had actually happened to her, and a lot of finger pointing and a lot of speculation, which really led to us having to wait so long because there were so many different scenarios that came up. And with all of the drama with the case, while it does bring a lot of attention, it also did a lot of distracting. And I really wanted to just come here to hold space for the family because I really, more than anything, want them to know that they're not alone, but to also help us to remember why we're here. And that is to find Tyler. And that should be our main focus. And really wanted to do whatever I could to honor bringing that to the forefront and into what we remember and how we can show up for each other in order to focus on that.
Thank you for that. Hey, Rita. Um, which I think that most of us up here have spoken to some of Tyler's family.
I have not had the opportunity to speak to any of Tyler's family. I know Mona did reach out to me earlier today to ask if there was a time for a phone call, which I absolutely will make time for that. And really wanted to speak to Tyler's mom because I really want her to know it doesn't matter how old your children are, right? They're always going to be your babies. And I just really want to reach out and also speak to her as well to let her know that my heart goes out to her. And I know it must be so scary to be so far away, Chicago versus South Dakota. And her brother and rest of their family, I just really want them to know that they're not alone in this and that there's so many people really doing what they can to find Tyler.
That is what I want to, that's what I want everybody to know. This is about finding a young man that left his house and he didn't mysteriously disappear. So there is some way, shape, or form where Tyler can be found and will be found. Because if Miss Sherry did all of the work that she did and all the praying and all the searching and all the looking and all the investigating, and she found her baby, Tyler can be found. And this is how we find him, by keeping his name alive, by
Yeah.
keeping this story in front of people, you know? And God bless you, Sherry, for taking the opportunity to come up here and to give your condolences to the family and to tell them that it will be okay. Because there's been so much talk. Who shot John? Uh, Running down rabbit holes, running up mountains and hills and valleys. And you've gone through this, Sherry. How did it make you feel? What did you do when these things were occurring to you?
Well, for me, when everything happened, there was a lot of discrepancies and a lot of confusion as to what was happening. And there was a troll that came on, and to make a very long story short, a lot of people weren't sure whether I was being honest and whether Morgan was really missing because of things. And when that happened, it was so overwhelming for me because my in my body I was literally screaming, that I just want to find Morgan. And so what I did was over and over and over try to come back into a loving space and just keep pushing and never giving up, just keep reminding everybody that we were looking for my daughter. And so just over and over again, and just not letting other people's thoughts or emotions get to my heart, because my heart was looking for my daughter. And so I just kept that energy going forward for her.
I cannot even imagine.
You know, I talked to Sherry today, and glory be to God, she came down
Oh, you cut out.
today. She actually came down to meet me today because I'm in Florida, and her energy and her spirit and her tranquility is just something of a different nature. And for her to have gone through all of these atrocities of her baby being missing for all of these years, uh, I got a sense of calm while talking to her and looking her in the eyes. That was just totally amazing. And have, if anybody want to hear a strong person or even know about a strong person, Sherry Hinman, I think it is. You have just really got to tap into what and who she is, because she is a magnificent human being. And keep in mind, Sherry's had this mindset of making a difference in this world way before her baby went missing. So this isn't something that she just started gravitating to. She had this mindset. And these are the type of human beings that win battles, that don't give up. So I reckon the word I'm trying to say is, if we keep staying together and pulling together and keep this narrative going, we will find this young man. I sure hope we can find him healthy. I sure do, for his family and his babies. But the bottom line is, he must be found. So if there's anybody that knows anything of significance, please anonymously give somebody a tip. You know, you can always tip the, Crime Stoppers or hotlines, or whatever. But would somebody please help us bring this young man home?
Yes, I was gonna say too, Sherry, can you talk about your meditation Mondays? Because I think that that is amazing. She shares missing person flyers every Monday as well. Can you talk to everybody about that too? Kind of what you're doing.
Absolutely. So through all of this, you know, I didn't know through the last 8 years whether Morgan had been trafficked, whether she was choosing this on her own or whether she was gone. And so I was just trying to do everything I could to be as healthy as I could be. So if she came home from potentially being trafficked, I could be a healthy person. And so every Monday for years, I've been making a 5 minute meditation. And at the end of that meditation, I feature a missing person. I figure if I can just bring some calm and some peace to every person, and 5 minutes is something that everybody can commit to. And then at the end of it, if I could give back, if I could give back anything to do to help others, that's just been my goal, because I really I just really want to show up, and I want to reach behind me and help those that are coming behind me, because I know how it feels to feel all alone, trying to find someone that you love, and how desperate you feel in those moments. And I just want to give anyone just a little, just hold their hand through it a little bit, I guess, or just make everyone feel that they're not alone, and to feel like their baby's face is being seen as well, because I know how hard it is when you're just trying to push and push and push for people to remember your child's face and to look at them over and over and over again. And so I just want to really give that back to people so that they know that somebody's looking for their child, and I'm looking for their child.
Yes. You were absolutely amazing. There was a case that I actually said, like, can you please reach out to Sherry? And I remember you helping this family like through every step, and you helped them make a flyer, and that was absolutely amazing and selfless of you. And I don't know if you even remember that. I think this was a couple years back, but
I do, and we found her within 3 days.
yes, it was absolutely amazing.
So if anybody can hear that, we got the big gun out now. So this young man will be found by hook or crook if we have to turn over every rock in South Dakota and surrounding areas. Because this just has to happen. This nobody just vanishes in thin air. And with all the new evidence that's coming out and with all the new video, there's got to be somehow kind of way for us to lay our face on this young man. Got to.
Yes.
Sherry, what do you think? What do you think the family should be doing?
Well, besides praying, just constantly sharing pictures and any way that you can connect to the community, because letting people know that you're a real person and just reminding them that this is your child or your family member is just a really big thing, because it makes that person real and not just a story. So that is a really big thing that I always recommend, is just sharing your heart, even though it's hard, and just continuing to push, even though sometimes it seems impossible, and to just keep going. And when you feel like you don't have enough strength, just to reach out to somebody else, because we're here for you and we're here to support you. And just to have faith that we're all praying for you. And the family, I know the family's in Chicago, and that must be very scary to be so far away. But I do want to at least give any kind of reassurance that I can, that South Dakota and Sioux Falls, is, while the largest city, is still a small community, and that law enforcement is not the same as it is in bigger cities, because they don't have, the amount of crime and the amount of missing people that are coming in. And additionally, those officers live in communities where they're being held accountable. You can't just disappear into a neighborhood. You are held accountable by the people that are around you. And so if I could give any kind of a little bit of peace to let them know that the ability for law enforcement to be in Sioux Falls and to help, is a whole different story than being in Chicago or Atlanta. And I hope that gives a little bit of peace of mind, that there are people that are able, and I'm praying that they're doing everything that they can for them.
Now, do you notice a lack of police involvement?
So honestly, when I started paying attention to Tyler's case right away, but and then I joined the groups, and then a couple of my comment was blocked, and then all of the stuff that was happening was kind of triggering, so I kind of stepped out of the group. But I have not heard that there wasn't law enforcement helping. I just really want to reassure the families, because when you're dealing with Chicago and Atlanta, the missing person rate, there's a person missing every 3 minutes in larger cities. And
Yeah.
availability of law enforcement, for example, in Atlanta, there's only two detectives that are in charge of missing persons for all of Atlanta, Georgia. And
Wow.
and that's right. But when you're talking about Sioux Falls, South Dakota, that changes drastically. And then the plus things, the fact that that Tyler is of color is a big thing for South Dakota. The fact that he has a receding hairline, a big thing for for the area. These are distinguishing marks. Like anything that can help bring attention, and these are wonderful things because there's not a lot of Black people in the communities of South Dakota. And so when somebody goes missing that has distinguishing marks, like Morgan had tattoos, those things are really positive ways to help and draw attention to that missing person.
I love that. And I was going to ask you about that because you spoke with me about that the other night, and I thought that was a big deal considering the amount of people per capita that we have versus other places have. So what she means is small town. There's eyes on everything. Somebody knows where this young man is. Somebody know where he disappeared to. We just need those people to step up, have a little empathy, have respect for his daughter, for his family, and and just anything right now, anything that we can do to find this young man, it just needs to happen, y'all. Uh, it's been 6 months, 180 days. That's a long time, kids. That is a long time. But
Yeah,
keep in mind, Miss Sherry waited over 2,100 days.
it's awful. Just
Think about
awful.
that.
Course of the investigation and kind of, catapulted everything forward.
So I believe what you're talking about is the video that was released for the 26th. Is that what you're talking about, the
Yeah.
Instagram video? So
Yeah.
what I can't do is talk about that, but what I can do is tell you that of course we know that Morgan died or passed away in the night between the 25th and the 26th. So what I can say is that more than likely that video that was posted on the 26th could not have been Morgan. So while that was a piece of information for the case, it was not a piece of information that helped or changed the course at the end to finding Morgan. So
Right, but it kind
unfortunately,
of,
finding out that information did
yeah,
help to bring more attention to it. It
yeah,
just did not end up being a piece of information that helped us to find Morgan in the end. There's so
How
much more to the story, but again, we're in the middle of court cases. One person has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The other person is currently awaiting a mental health evaluation.
oh
I'm a witness in Morgan's case. So while I can talk about certain things, I can't talk about her case
yeah.
specifically.
And that's respectable. We'll
yeah,
honor that.
yeah.
How many false allegations did you hear over the time of her being cited?
So what happened right away within the first couple of weeks was that a troll had came on saying that they were Morgan and pretending to be Morgan, which confused people who cared about her. And because of
Wow, evil,
I
evil, evil.
Yeah. And because of that, I was accused of making up the story that my daughter was missing. I was accused of creating a GoFundMe account to steal the money. And I was accused of knowing that Morgan was fine, and I was just making everything up. And obviously, that wasn't true. Having thousands of people come at you telling you saying horrible things about you was terribly overwhelming. But I just kept moving forward, and because I knew what I don't know, I just knew what I had to do, which was find Morgan, and I just kept walking in that direction, and without try not to let everything around me affect me, even though, again, I'm from Aberdeen, South Dakota, which is a small community. And I was there for several years before I moved to Florida. And, you really want, that's the thing I think, right, that most humans fear is, not being liked by others. And so, it was really a thing to try to overcome and try to keep showing up in my community to be a healthy person, even though, some people maybe think I wasn't at that point.
How many trips did you make to Georgia?
So I don't know. When I first was there, I was there for a little over a month looking for Morgan. And since then, I've been there. I've been there several times. I have been there for. I did a fundraiser for human trafficking. I did a fundraiser for homelessness because homelessness is not a crime. I have been there for outreach. We've done candlelight vigils for Morgan in Porterdale, as well as being there numerous times for court cases and to speak with officers regarding Morgan's case.
You are absolutely a warrior. You are absolutely somebody that could inspire thousands of people, dear. Because when you tell me that you went down to an unknown place and you went down there for months to find your baby, that's what I'm talking about, girl. That is what I'm talking about. That tells me more than you can ever say to me, girl, because that's love. That's love.
Yes, I had the opportunity to meet some amazing people, but I did see and have experienced some things. I've learned a lot about human trafficking. I've learned a lot about a lot of different things. My friend Casey with For Sarah, who I help her with, she does outreach in Georgia and helps human trafficking victims there. Um, she says that you have a unique set of skills, and what I hope to do with that is to help others that are unsure how to navigate this, because there's a lot more that goes to finding a missing person than just even making posters. There's the searching and the discussion with the detectives, and what happens if you find your child. And so there's just so many layers, and making sure that they stay safe once they return home. There's just a lot of different things, and I hope in one way or another that I can do anything to reach back and help others.
Yes, you are amazing, Sherry. I know you kind of spoke on too. We're coming up on Morgan's anniversary. I'm not sure if that's what you call it or not, but can you share with us a little bit about Morgan? Like, what kind of young lady was she? She was 19 when she went missing. I'm guessing from everything I've seen, she was a spitfire and a fun person to be around. But can you tell us a little bit about Morgan?
Absolutely. Morgan, she absolutely was. She was very confident, loving. So sorry.
It's
Oh,
okay. Take your time, mama.
yes.
Morgan was a very kind and loving and compassionate person, but yeah, she was very confident. She didn't take no for an answer. And when she wanted to do something, she did it. And her going to Georgia, however she chose to get there, I just find her absolutely courageous and brave. And I'm so ridiculously proud of her for stepping outside of fear and outside of her comfort zone to make her dreams come true. I think she was an incredible person. And she was funny and loving, and she just had this personality that when she walked into a room you knew she was there.
I can see that from her pictures. All of her pictures, she's smiling and looks like such a fun person to be around.
One of her teachers had come up to me at her funeral and was telling me the story about her, and maybe this kind of will help you understand the kind of person she was. She was a teacher's aide, and she was helping with freshmen, and she said, I'm going to make sure all of these students pass. And Morgan showed up every day for these kids, and that was the first and only time that every one of those freshman kids in that teacher's class passed, because Morgan
Wow.
showed up for each and every one of them.
Wow.
So she was just a loving, I I can only imagine what she would have done with her life.
Wow. Mama, can I ask you a question? What's your thoughts on Tyler's case?
So what I don't ever do is drama or speculation. And again, like I said, I kind of walked away. But what I will say is that I want to remind everyone, as you're going through
I think you
this.
cut out there, Sherry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. What I do want to say is that redirecting the attention back to Tyler, while it's so easy to accuse people, and right now I believe there's 3 different missing groups. The things that I would say is that if there's a way to bring everybody back together, to refocus the attention, why split up all of the attention between 3 groups? If you can really draw that in and get all of the people together and find a way to communicate with one another so that all of the attention is going in one way rather than out into the ethers and into drama. If there's a way to take all of that energy and put it into creating missing posters, to sharing, to creating vigils or reminders or walks. If you can get together and do searches. I'm not sure if Falls Park has been searched yet, but I feel like that would be a really good place to start, and a lovely space to gather together and take a good walk. I just feel like Sioux Falls in South Dakota, there's so much community. There's so many amazing people there that really, if everybody just takes a step back from fighting and pointing fingers to how can we really look for this person? How can we go out? Can everybody go out into your backyard? Can everybody go for a walk around your neighborhood? Like, can you go for a walk with your neighbor around your neighborhood? Like, are there ways that you can communicate and that you can connect and that you can work together in order to really find Tyler? Because again, you're right, he's somewhere. People don't just disappear. And I believe that without distracting from the case, if you refocus everything, I think so much can happen. It's so much quicker when you work together.
Hey, one thing you talked about, or what you touched on there, you said something about a vigil. And I had kind of had that thought, like maybe just all of us coming together and, and just saying some prayers and, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts? I got some feedback that, like, well, that's just for when people pass. And I'm like, well, no, I think a prayer vigil is appropriate, at any point, just to bring unity and, get people refocused and, and bring some positive energy. What are your thoughts on that?
So we did vigils for Morgan pretty much every year, in one way or another, whether they were meditations, we did candlelight vigils, there were balloons. The thing is that you always want to remind everybody to come together as a community and to keep remembering. The thing is that there are so many missing people and things pop up on our timeline. The other thing is when you're sharing your missing person, and I understand people get overwhelmed and they're like, oh, I see this every day. But my thing is to keep pushing. And when you can create things like candlelight vigils, you're coming together, and that energy matters too. They say where 2 or more are gathered, right? So if you're creating that energy, you're coming together and you're building, not only are you building a community, but you're remembering in this heartfelt way in a loving space. In a space where you're creating intention, and that matters. That manifestation, that intention, that energy of building together matters, and I
I,
think it's so important.
I love that. I love it, Sherry. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love, thank you for giving me that wonderful response and answer because me and Laura have talked about this numerous times. Why can't we bring people together and pray or have a candlelight visual so we can keep the energy and the focus on finding this young man and bringing him home?
Yes.
Throw all the other rocks across the damn street, dear. We're trying to bring this young man's home. We're trying to see his face. We're trying to hear his voice. We're trying to find something. So having that visual so people can come and feel the same energy and know that we're all together trying to find this young man is a positive thing.
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody that throwing bricks only builds walls.
that
You
part.
have to tear those down. So, and to find ways to connect and communicate and to walk in the same direction together.
I love it. I love it. Now, if nobody's listening, this is Morgan's Bauer's mama, the young lady that got missing from Aberdeen, South Dakota, and it took her 7 years. And she was in another state. And she is given valuable information on how she handled these things because she went through the same atrocity, the same daggone thing that we're going through now. She went through that. So we're talking to somebody that has a vested interest in life and finding this young man.
Yes.
No, you cut out.
No, somebody was calling me.
You just left us hanging. He's probably talking to us on pause too.
Yes. Oh my
I
God.
do want to say for myself, and for the Sioux Falls community, that I do know that the neighborhood. I did live off of Marion Road at one point, so I do know their neighborhood and their community as well. So I just want to also offer that and to just say thank you to the Sioux Falls and the South Dakota communities for all the things that they have done so far, because I know so many people have done a lot of work to help the family, and I just want to thank them as well.
Let's talk about the police. What could they do different? Could they recanvass the neighborhood? What could they do different?
So I honestly don't know what the Sioux Falls Police Department has done so far. Like I said, I'm going to guess that that they've done a lot of different things just because they have more resources than, they do in larger communities potentially. What I will say is that, again, driving the traffic in one direction so that you're coming together, something that can happen with small town communities, when we're reaching out and we're just throwing a lot of things out there, it can really overwhelm law enforcement. So we want to make sure that when we are calling law enforcement, that there are good sightings and it's for good things, not just to overwhelm them. We made a lot of phone calls to Atlanta when Morgan was missing, but that was a very different situation for her case, because there weren't people weren't on her case at certain times. So we had a very different situation. And I'm praying that law enforcement has done everything that they can and continues to search. But this really has a lot to do with people on the ground and how we can show up and help, not just to help law enforcement, but how we can help show up for the family and to help for Tyler. Because of course, law enforcement's going to have new cases, new crimes, new things coming up while their attention is still here. But how, as a community, can we show up to even support them and to support the family? Like I said, can everybody go in their backyard? Can you walk around and just take a look? And are there ways that we could communicate with neighborhoods? Like, did everybody look in their neighborhood? And if there's somebody who can't get outside, maybe we can show up for them, bring them a bowl of soup and look in their backyard. There's ways that we can help our community and potentially help law enforcement. I don't know how to direct law enforcement because I don't know what they've done. From what I understand, that they've been working with Mona, the wife, to speak with her. And here's the other thing on the other side of the foot, and I'm not trying to harm anyone, but if law enforcement does have a concern about somebody, they're going to want to be as close to that person as possible. So I would assume, with law enforcement at this point, if they have the opportunity to take out any warrants, they've done that. If they can't take out those warrants, what I can say is that people have the right to privacy. So just because you want them to take out a warrant, for example, on somebody's cell phone and things like that, doesn't mean that they can, because that person who owns that phone, for example, has the right to privacy.
I have probable cause.
Right. And so, even when and I'm not saying any of this happened to the family. These are just things that I understand because they happened to our case. And so just because you want law enforcement to do something doesn't mean legally that they can, which is a benefit for us to remember as citizens that, we do have some protections, but also, can feel harmful and feel negative when we really wish that they could do those things, in order to potentially help a case.
It's to me one of the biggest things that I feel uh different about is a black man in South Dakota is just not going to disappear. A black man in no place just disappears. But in a little town like South Dakota where there's not a lot of minorities, it's just hard to think that he disappeared without somebody assisting in his disappearance. What's your thoughts on that, Sherry?
Well, and that's, as I was mentioning earlier, a benefit to the case is because he is a black man, because there are, there's not a lot of people of color in South Dakota, unless you're Native American, of course. But I don't necessarily think of that as the same thing.
No,
But
it's not.
right. And so, but for being a black person in South Dakota, it would be hard to just be missing. And like I said, another marker is because he does have a receding hairline. All of those two things right there are huge for finding a person specifically in South Dakota, because you don't have a lot of other people that to compare him with. And so he stands out, and he becomes a particular figure that should be an easier person to find.
Narrows down those needles in the haystack.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's how I was.
That
Yeah, that's how I was referring. Because when I was searching for Morgan, it was really like looking for a needle in a needle of haystacks, and I couldn't figure it out. It was really hard. And she was in Atlanta, Georgia, from South Dakota. So just being him and being in South Dakota already moves the pile of haystack, right? And then him being of color, that makes the haystack smaller. Him having a receding hairline makes the haystack smaller. And so the more that you could whittle away the things that um, that would make him like everyone else in this particular case, to find those things that make him very special are the things that will help find him.
I'm jumping in for a minute. Y'all don't make me turn off the comments, but I do want to. Somebody did ask you, Sherry. Um, where's Tyler? I'll address that in a second too. Um, but somebody asked if there was something that because hindsight's kind of 2020. Do you ever feel like in looking back when you were going over things, there was anything that you missed or anything that you could have done?
For Morgan,
Yeah.
no, we found the people who were missing the day after I got to Atlanta.
Oh wow.
So we found them the very next day. I believe that was all God. And we knew who they were. I took pictures of their vehicles. Law enforcement did not come that day. Again, there's so much more to this story that I can't tell. But what I can tell you is that we found them the day after we got to Georgia. We knew who they were. But again, when it comes to doing certain things, for example, looking at people's phone records and stuff like that, people have the right to privacy. We knew where Morgan's phone pinged, and you were speaking about Morgan's case and what that looked like. Even the information that was given by police at the beginning of her case was incorrect. It was said her phone last pinged on the 29th. It did happen to be a leap year in February, but that was not true. And when you have stuff in files, for example, they can't redact that. They can't change that. So once it's in the file, it's there. So there was a lot of misinformation put out about Morgan's case from the beginning. Do I think I could have done anything different? No, other than, at that point, from what I did, I just don't think that there was any other way to come back to where we were. And Morgan did everything on her time. I think it was divine timing. I think if everything would have happened 7 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to make it through the way I've been able to now.
I've got to respond to a couple people. I want y'all to do this. It's just like I have a house full of impacted family members, mothers that are in the other room, and I look into their eyes and I feel their hurt I feel their pain. Sherry, you saw that today when we were walking through those monuments and we were seeing all of those babies. And we saw the mothers standing by the babies and the hurt that they had. This is obviously a traumatizing situation for anybody. Sherry's telling you how bad she was traumatized. So, it's hard to go through this situation, especially being a single parent at this particular time with three babies. So, I really wish people would sort of kind of give Mona a little break because she's traumatized and she's been going through a lot of things. So, people handle things the way that they handle them, you know? So that's where it takes people like us to step up, to have her back, to have the parents back, to have the brothers back, to have the back of people so we can make a difference in this situation.
Yes, and so and speaking on that, um again, we're talking like coming together in unity and for the right cause, which is finding Tyler. That's what everybody started out as. And this has gotten very messy. Um very very messy. In 5 years I've never seen anything like this at all. And we have over 100 cases of missing persons in South Dakota, and there's not one that has this kind of energy and focus, and people's time is so invested, and everybody's dissecting everything in every direction. um but again, we just want to like refocus
I
and get back to why we all are in the groups.
Let
And
me ask a question. Let me ask a question to the people that are listening. How many of you would join me for a vigil on the 26th of March so we can pray and come together and see what we could do to assist this situation? Because I'm not stopping. My group isn't stopping. We've added Sherry. We are adding anybody that has a heart. So if I think 7:30 to 8:30, Laura, is what we were thinking. And on the 26th, it was Laura.
I think the 20th or 22nd. I can't remember. I have to look back at my
Okay,
calendar.
okay. But yeah, man, I would love to see everybody's smiling faces. I will come from my beautiful town of Gettysburg, South Dakota, and we will have a vigil and we'll chat, and we'll see if we can't strengthen this army to continue to fight to find this young man.
I do want to say that as we're talking about this and about the stories and what and the things that I want to remind you, you did hear me say that we found the person that harmed Morgan, those people within a day, right? But I want you to understand that all of the other things that happened distracted from us just solving that 7.5 years earlier, because there were so many stories, there were so many things distracting from the case that it really harmed her case, Morgan's case. And so that's a thing that I want to remind everybody of, not just that we should be kind and compassionate because humanity, we need to love one another, but to also remind you that we don't want to distract from the case. We don't want to distract from finding Tyler. That's why we're here. That's what we're talking about. And anything that you could do to keep that focus and to keep that drive. And like you said, coming together as a family and a community. And like, could you imagine holding hands and walking together and really doing everything you can? Next month it might be warmer out there for you to be able to walk together during that vigil. And I think it's just such a beautiful way to show not only the family, no matter how you feel about it, Tyler is still his mother's son. No matter how you feel about it, he is still somebody's father and somebody's brother. And these people love him and they want to know he's okay. And while it's exciting, that feeling of energy to be in this, and it feels dramatic and all these things, this is a real story for somebody. This is really happening to them. And I just want to remind everybody about that these are real people whose hearts are broken. They're desperate, they're devastated, they're exhausted, and they're overwhelmed. And all they want is for people to care about them. They want to feel seen, they want to feel heard, and they want to know somebody's looking for their baby.
Laura,
Um,
question, Laura. I keep hearing about footage. What footage was withheld?
I need to answer some questions too after Laura does this
Okay,
because people in the comments are making me angry.
Laura,
We'll circle
get
back
off
to
me.
her.
Okay,
Sorry,
Um,
I was
oh, there
totally
you go.
talking too. I'm sorry. There was always this talk of Madison and Marion, and it's even listed in his national database. That was the last place that he was seen, and actually they had the time as like 7:50 a.m. And so I know that was something we talked about on the live the last time. That where is this footage? Why haven't they released it? And we were kind of anticipating it, asking for it. And that did not come from the PD. There was, the video that was just released the other night from Legal Eye. And that's I can't say that's the last known footage because the timestamp could be wrong. They haven't really said. They said that, that they were not sure if that timestamp was off or the timestamps in the neighborhood because obviously you can't be in two places at once. But, yeah, that's been talked about and they finally put it out, a couple days ago. So.
and that's the one that you see him at the intersection.
Yep. Yep. The one where he's talking to the kid on the bike or the guy on the bike. I think it looks like more of like a man, but and then
Yeah.
kind of runs out across and talks to somebody in the car. Yep.
Okay. All right, Amy.
So,
Where's Tyler? Yeah, the where's Tyler? You said when did that change? I'm not sure what you're talking about. But if you want to comment again on there. And then I wanted to get to Marlena too. She said why not add his family or have they been invited?
We've
Um,
asked.
Yes, we have talked to them. And Greg is, he's kind of stepped away a little bit. He's been overwhelmed. And so he just said, when I'm ready, I'll do it. So, but yes, they have been talked to.
Amy,
That
did you have questions that you need to address?
no, I'm taking notes.
Okay.
that was additionally something that I asked prior to um, coming on the podcast about the family too, because it was very important. And like I said, we messaged Mona, and again, if Tyler's mom or family wants to speak, I want them to know I'm here for them as well to support them in any way I can, just to show up.
And that's solid, girl. That's straight up solid.
Yes, there
So
is.
with
Sorry,
so
there is
with
a
that,
comment. Sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go
I was
ahead.
just going to say that there was a comment about declining the footage. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. Because I know that she even spoke on the last live that she wanted that video to be released. And again, that did not come from the PD. I'm fully aware that there's obviously probably street cams out there. Why haven't they, caught more? I don't know. That would have been a really good question for that police briefing that they just had and didn't really say much about. I'm not sure who's in charge of asking the questions there, but it definitely, there should have been questions that came up in that briefing.
Now I do want to say this. Why why is there dissension between the pages? What's that about?
Hold on, Matt. Um, why did Tamian know about the police making a statement? So I did some digging on that and was told that was pointed to a relationship that he seems to have with some of the or somebody in the police department. So that could be a reason. I've also been told that sometimes there are certain people that police will give information to over um, anything else. Also, Laura, do not feel the need to address any kind of tension because I've already seen that. That's one of the things that's making me mad is the stuff in there. I am new to this and I have only been like in these groups. I have said one thing between all three groups and I got blocked from one of them for zero reason. Zero reason. And I've seen a lot of the going back and forth, back and forth. I saw somebody say Mona's the one that caused the tension. She's the one who caused the divide. If that's the case, then I feel like people are just being, if she has that much power over you, there's a problem.
Right.
That there's a problem because you
And
don't have to do that. You don't have to be divided. You guys have got to get to the point to where I know you say Tyler's the focus, but there is a lot of stuff that ends up being focused on one person or another and pointing fingers, and it becomes very ugly. I got kicked out of the one that's the where is Tyler? I got kicked out of that one. I never said a word, so it wasn't my narrative. But
right.
there's a
I'm
lot of
kicked out of
things
that
that
one
got
too.
there's a lot of things that got tossed around too, like even on my YouTube when I put it up last week. I mean, this is one of those things. Exactly, Angie. There's a little that gets said about that, but they want to point at Mona and they want to ask us to answer why certain things happen and why did she do this and why did she do that, or did this happen? We can't answer any of that stuff. Like, it's not for us to answer anyhow. But nonetheless, I can tell you that in the past, week, I have seen other people outside, like people in the true crime community, who have been picking this up and talking about it on lives. I've seen other people doing this, and it's like, that should be a great thing. Why does Mona not talk more and say more? Well, last week she got bombarded, and y'all got so mad because she was even given a platform. And listen, I can't tell you about muting people. I didn't do that. I wasn't watching that. I have mods in here who were doing that, and probably someone thought it was maybe offensive or something like that. But nonetheless, just I really, really, really want people to understand that we are not like your enemy here. We're not anything. Like, the focus is on Tyler.
Right. Yep. And there's many people that have reached out to me. I obviously run the South Dakota Missing Persons page, so I'm in the database every day, and I'm posting to different groups all over the place. Tyler's information, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of groups that I've shared with nationally. But I'm blocked from the Where's Tyler page. I'm blocked. Well, I'm not blocked right now from the search from Tyler page. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. And this has been like an ongoing thing. We I don't even know if we touched on this last time, but the search for Tyler Page, was created by somebody who is completely unrelated. Like, she doesn't know Tyler. She doesn't know Mona. She doesn't know the family. She made it because she's seen
She
an
just got a great
opportunity to
heart.
help, and yes, and to kind of streamline the process. Where are you searching? How can we support? You know what I mean? So she created it for that. It got messy, yes. There was some blocking and some stuff like that, a blocking of the family, which I absolutely don't agree with either. But the shoe's just been put on the other foot now. She relinquished that entire page to the admins of the Where's Tyler page, and it's all kind of the same thing on both pages at this point. Um, but it's gotten messy. Again, there's people that have been blocked that have been in this from the very beginning. People that were boots on the ground, that are picking up flyers, that are, out there in the community speaking Tyler's name and pushing for him to be found, that are being blocked. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's
But
all
listen, even if she did block somebody at that point in time, you know what? If it's her group, whatever, because you know what? I've had issues. I mean, of course I haven't had this kind of an issue, but there have been times that I've had to block out, like, my ex's family, and didn't think twice about it because I just needed some peace. You guys are rough. I mean, she's not even up here and you guys are still going at her. And the one thing I'm going to say to you, Mona, is I learned the hard way that no, my ex was not missing. But still, I mean, I could imagine that they would irritate the crap out of me to the point that it would be hard for me to just keep it together. Like, I guarantee you, there's a lot of grief that goes into this. There's a lot of stress that goes into this. There's a lot of everything. And then if you already have tension with the family, it's just going to make it worse. And then when you start having an army of people, behind, that's another problem. Period.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody makes mistakes. You can't judge people on the mistakes that
Tammy,
they made in the past. So, all I know is the main focus is finding this young man. We
you know what? Here's
incorporate
another lady. There's another lady right there. Aunt Tammy. Aunt Tammy's somebody who knows all about having somebody missing too. And she's been fighting for justice for a very long time as well.
pull up to the front of the
And
building. Can
Tammy,
you
you want
pull
to
up
come
to the
up?
front?
Let me see.
It's like anyone
Yes.
who cares about Tyler and finding Tyler, there needs to be a reset.
We have been in contact with Janine. We've talked to Greg. Yes, this isn't a one-sided affair. This is a
No.
Tyler affair. This is a Tyler affair. This is what's important to me. This is what is important to us, is finding this young man. It's important to me because he's a black man and I live in South
Okay.
Dakota.
I invited you, Tammy. Mhm. There were other people who were in here earlier too. We had Rita Isbell who was in here earlier. I don't know if she's still in here, but Rita's brother went missing. Dahmer took him. And, imagine the fact that family, they're constantly victimized by, the media and, these Netflix series and stuff like that, all those things that happen. And, people just don't think about how they are affecting other people. Like,
This
you
is
don't get to,
traumatizing.
yes, this is a life sentence for these families. Like, they don't get to get rid of it.
Every second of every day. This is what they can think of. This is what they concentrate on. This is what they're focused. Sherry, how often do you think about Morgan?
1,000 times a day.
Think about that. You're talking about someone that's been through hell and back, and it's on her mind 1,000 times a day, 7 years later. These are things that will never leave your heart and your soul. Every second of every day, we think about this guy. The mama thinks about him. Mona thinks about him. The brother thinks about him. Please, we need to bring this young man home. So if anybody knows anything, forget all the speculations, forget all your theories. Give us facts. Help us find this young man. That's what you do. Forget all the bullshit rhetoric. Forget all the bullshit comments. Forget all the hate spewing. Let's find this young man.
He's
Hey,
he's missing
everybody.
in South Dakota. He's missing in South Dakota, Tammy. And part of the problem is that there's a lot of people that are, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of focus on him. It's more about pointing fingers to the wife and, conspiracy theories and everything else. And we have Miss Sherry next to you, whose daughter went missing from South Dakota also, and she was found here in Georgia.
Mm.
And she's told us how she's kind of dealt with it. So please tell them about Miss Olivia.
Hello, Aunt Tammy. This is Uncle Selwyn. I just want to say hey, dear, and God bless
Oh,
you.
Aunt Tammy, this is George Floyd's uncle.
Wow. I'm so sorry about your loss. And I promise you, we have fought for him too.
Yeah, love,
Well,
but right now, I'm sorry to hear what you're going through. And I thank you for joining us to tell all of these other people out here what you went through. Miss Sherry was gracious enough to tell us how she went through it. And I do want to ask Tammy and yourself mentally, how do you do this? How do you keep from pulling your hair out and going insane?
for me,
I
Olivia
like
just,
I like your
uh,
country accent, by the way. I had to say that.
thank you. It's very, yeah, it's real
You
strong.
country girl, you country, you country.
If you'd have met Olivia, you would have not thought I was country at all. um, Olivia disappeared actually August the 13th in 2021. And I understand what this family is going through because it was the same scenario, but it wasn't the family that was, it's like they didn't even care. She was an adult and she ran away. And so for the first year and a half, all the searches, all the advocating, all the flyers, all the reaching out was done by myself and a few people because law enforcement did not take it seriously. We searched for Olivia in many places that we had been sent to, and we came across a location that I had a strong feeling that she was there. And this was actually about a month, a little over a month after she vanished. And I had went to law enforcement and I begged them to go out there because I had found some suspicious things that shouldn't have been out there on this property. And they never went to search this property. So I went back about 4 days later, me and two other people, and we retrieved the things that were out there, and we even turned it into them to get it, analyzed and whatnot. We begged them. I begged them. Long story short, Olivia was found in that area about a year and a half later, unalived. She was found about 100 yards from where I stopped walking because I don't know, I believe it was God stopping me in my tracks because he didn't want me to find her, but I told myself it was because it was private property. I'm gonna tell you something. For me, I think the longer that we go with no answers, no justice, no nothing, the harder it gets for me. I can't speak for the other family members because they're not doing what I do. It's like life went on. I have been threatened. I've been intimidated. I've been harassed, but I continue to fight because Olivia, when she went missing less than a month later, a young girl did come forward wanting to tell more about it. That young woman was found unalived also. And that just struck me, motivated me more to just continue to fight. It's my mental health is horrible. I'm to the point where my anxiety is really bad. I still advocate and be her voice and be their voice every day, but I'm not as active on the lives much here lately because her birthday is coming up and she would have been 30. And Olivia has 3 children, 3 small children that just think their mama abandoned them, because they don't know any different. They're young. I mean, her son disappeared. I mean, she disappeared a week before her son's first birthday. But how can the cops tell me that Olivia's taking a break? She would not leave her children. She would leave anybody else, but not her children. And she was very family oriented, and especially with her sister and myself. And, regardless of what happened in within the family, she loved them, and she didn't care. She's the light of my life. I miss her so much, and I dream about her. So I will pray for this family because I know what it's like to not feel like nobody's doing anything. The community we're from is really small and in the country, in a wooded area, and it's like you've got all these. I grew up in this county, people I went to school with, people my mom and dad worked with, people my grandparents worked with, just turned the blind eye. And that is so hard for me, to where now the only reason I would go back to Meriwether County is to see Olivia and my mom at their final resting place. That's the only reason I have to go to Meriwether County now, because they have, and it's unfortunate, but that's just two women that I spoke about. But we've had 5 go missing in the last 5 years, and only 2 of them were found. One young woman is still missing, but her ex is being charged, but they still don't have her remains. Can you imagine what that matter of fact, for Saturday marks 4 years since Tiffany Foster disappeared. And she's a beautiful, 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 beautiful woman. And she had 3 children also. And her family don't even have her remains, but this guy's charged, and they swore that we would never find Olivia, and hunters found her, and the cops didn't. They didn't even make an effort. They came through, and I encouraged the family to stay on them regardless of what they try to accuse them of. Long as they know they're right in their heart, don't stop. There's other places that we're starting to reach out to. We're going over their head. It took me almost 2 years to get the FBI involved in Olivia's case. And you would think almost 4 years, in August will be 4 years since this has been going on. And you would think there would be some type of resolve. There's nothing. Not one person's been named a person of interest. We do not even have her death certificate. And she's been in the ground for almost 2 years. It took them 10 months to just let us know it was actually her. Even though we knew, some of us knew. And it's like no death certificate, no determination, nothing. We have nothing. No updates since October of 2021 from the county sheriff's department. The ones that
Wow.
were doing not one update, but their DEA agent can go and tell us, make the comment, y'all won't never find her. How do you know? And why is he showing up at all of these places of people that are trying to talk to intimidate them? So I don't know if it's anything like here, but that's where I would look first,
Wow,
at the
Tammy.
officials in the area, because I have watched, just in the last 4 days, watched so many documentaries of corruption and how bad. I mean, come on. They just dismissed 36,000 cases because of the crime scene. The people in the crime labs were doing the sweet tarts and fudging the numbers. One guy got 7 years for a pack of salt because the woman didn't actually test it. So that's where I feel like, I know it sounds crazy. I don't do scenarios. I don't do assumptions anymore, because I know what I know. It's just unfortunate that I can't blast everything that I know from the rooftop, because her case is still open.
Wow.
Tammy,
And we have
wow, wow.
I'm glad you guys are listening to Tammy. I mean, because it's a real problem over here, and that's one of the things that you guys were asking earlier, like, why do the cops do this? Why do the cops do that? there is literally no rhyme or reason for some of the things that, they do. Um, and in the stuff that's happened here, I mean, Olivia's case is heavily tied to two other women. And, one of those other women was found alive in a commissioner's home, and you've got another girl in the area who was found unalived in the house of it was the grandson of the sheriff.
Hold
I
on
mean,
for
you
a
have all
second.
kinds of
Stop. They found one of these people in a commissioner's home.
yes.
Wow.
He was the actual tax commissioner of Talbot County. And when this incident happened, they made a call to 911, and there's what they told 911, that there was a 90-something-year-old woman laying out on the ground beside his house. Okay? Mind you, when that same DEA agent that I just talked about, that same ex-tax commissioner called him first. And he actually is an agent in a totally different county. So why would you call him first? And then come to find out, Lauren is her name. She was a mother of one. She was in the late 20s. Beautiful, beautiful soul. She was the one that was coming and telling, she was giving me information about Olivia, because her and Olivia used to date the same guy. And at the time of Lauren's unaliving, she was actually dating our cousin, who we believe, unfortunately, is a person of interest. But when she was found, she was not laying outside, out there, 90 years old, passed out. She was laying in his bed. They had given her a bath, and they had laid his clothes on top of her, and she was laying like you would see your loved one in a casket. They were mourning
Oh
her
my God.
for 48 hours before it was ever even reported.
hmm Lauren Henderson, you can look her up. She's in Georgia too. You guys can
Yes.
look. You can find out a lot about all these cases if you look up the Bermuda Triangle of the South. But there's a lot of corruption that goes into these cases, and there's well, now there is some Freemason stuff we can talk about too one day. But
Yes.
this is one of those things that I don't know, man. There's a lot of hurt and stuff like that. And I met Tammy a few years ago, and the sound of her voice when she talks about this, it hasn't changed. I mean, it's hard.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not, my mental health is suffering, but now it's the physical that's starting to, I'm not, I don't know. I hurt myself back when I was searching. In a ditch. I was coming out of a ditch after staking out a house. Yeah, I was doing that by myself. No cops, no backup, nothing. Yeah, it was midnight, and I was following someone who made a comment that he chopped her up and strode her from here to there. So I was confronting him that night. And that's what I was doing. I was coming out of these woods, and I misjudged my step, so I jarred my whole side. So I'm having problems with that. But to shed light, I caught up with the guy and scared the bejesus out of him, of course. And he's still running and hiding. But they have not named any. And we actually have recordings. We have documentation. So we're going to, our next move is the Attorney General. That is my next move.
My girl, keep fighting. And
Oh, we will. I will. I mean, we
now
have said.
watch that side of yours now, Tammy.
What's that? My sob?
Yeah, what no, watch that side.
Oh yeah.
You pulled your side when you come up out of that ditch.
Oh yeah. It was my right side. Yes. I'm actually, and now I just have back pain a lot. Well, and it's crazy because in the beginning, I would go to these searches with a machete, right?
Damn,
And
Tammy.
I had a friend of mine who had a sawed off pew pew, right? We were ready.
Where were y'all, Tammy? First of all, where you at, girl?
I'm in Georgia. I'm in back country, Meriwether County, Harris County. I'm like south of Atlanta, like an
Tammy,
hour.
how many black people? How many black people you got in your town?
Man, I live with a black man. That's my boo.
Oh my lordy, Tammy,
Yeah.
Tammy. Okay, how many you got in town besides him?
Oh, there's a bunch. We good.
Okay,
We
okay.
good. Actually, all my neighbors. I mean, that's my family. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, you
Like,
talking about sawed off shotguns and boo boos? What the heck,
oh yeah.
Tammy?
Hey, the brothers carry them too now, honey. They carry them too.
Get it, girl,
And
get it, girl.
but the thing is, I traded my Shetty in for a couple pew pews, so I'm good.
Mm.
So I
Tammy,
want them.
Tammy, this an open line now. We ain't trying to get no gun charges on you, baby. Listen,
That's why I say the pew pew. Well, see, it
okay.
won't be. It won't be because
Uh,
I have a right to protect myself, and I'm a smart individual, and I've got I'm ducked off out of the way. I don't even live in that county.
Tammy, whoa, Tammy, did you say you ducked off out the way?
Yes, I'm ducked off out of the way.
Okay, Tammy, let me ask you a question, seriously, sweetie.
Yes, sir.
Do you think any of the complications you have from the police has to do with you dating a black man?
No, I don't. I don't because from what I have gathered from this all happening in the beginning, it's got a lot to do with the crowd that the girls were around. They were not so good, you know what I'm saying? We have trafficking going on here.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
yeah, not just SA, we've got Sweet Talk, they're trafficking a lot of, yeah. And they've got the cops are so in it. I mean, we just fired a whole Warm Springs Police Department last few months ago because of BS. I mean, we just tried to shut down the jail because it looks like a cesspool, and they don't realize that even though these folks committed crimes, they can use the conditions of that jail to beat a case, and they don't see that. You still have to give them humane place to stay. You have to make sure they got their medical, all that mess. My dad did over 20 something years in prison. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not some
You ain't a
fly.
rookie. You ain't a
Yeah, I
rookie.
mean, I know the laws, I know my rights, I know their rights, and criminal or not, they got a day in court. I might have the people that are involved in my niece's case already convicted and condemned to go 6 feet under, but until the court does what they supposed to do, our hands are tied. So what they gonna do when we get tired? Because that's what's happening. It's 4 years. I got a friend of mine, a family actually. This young woman was found 12 miles from my house. Her insides were ripped out of her.
Oh,
God.
Sydney.
Yes.
Sydney Kersey, you guys. And when she's saying that, like,
It
I'm gonna tell
wasn't
you
by
something.
animal. Right.
No. And this is one of those things that I was floored when I heard this, because her daughter was telling me the story. It's Sydney Kersey here in Georgia too, and they were saying, and this is also connected to Lauren and Olivia, but somebody asked when in a live that we were doing, they were like, was she pregnant at the time? And her daughter said, well, we don't know because she was missing those parts. And we're like, what? And she said, yeah, they were removed. And I thought, like, hysterectomy? No. Reached in, pulled out.
Oh my
Sydney was
God.
found. Sydney went missing 64 months ago. She was found 3 days after she vanished. And that family is still fighting for justice every day. She has 3 children, 2 grandchildren, and nothing. That
Wow.
mother, her mother, prays every day that she will at least live long enough for her baby to get justice. And that's why I fight so hard, because before I met that family, I had never heard about Sydney. Mind you, I was living where I'm living right now when Sydney was found. And I've been, and I was like, I know I met this girl uptown somewhere. I feel like I've met her. And it just like, I see these young men, and that's the thing. They're getting the men too. It isn't just women, because we've got so many men down here. We had a young man who was on his job site, and matter of fact, that's I looked at this picture. Doesn't he favor Christopher, Amy? The
Yes.
young man that disappeared here 18 years ago, and
Yeah.
his family, they've never found his remain nothing. 18 years ago, and he was out here doing road work. So
Wow.
I look at this young man, Tyler Blake, is, how do I say this, Weathersby?
Weathersby.
Okay. I look at him and I see Chris. I look at him and I see DB. I see Brandon. I see all these kids, because we've lost 4 football players just in the last 3 years over here, and they were unalived. No answers, no
Wow.
jobs. And
Wow.
they were just playing high school football and living their best life. You can't even go to the prom, and you leaving to go home, and next thing you know, boom.
Hey,
And
Tammy,
that,
I wanted to ask you, you touched on the fact that it took you 2 years to get the FBI involved. And I know that, like Janine has, they wrote letters and stuff to the FBI. What can you tell us about that process? And
I'm not gonna lie. What I did, I started with a GBI, and I tried to get them involved, but of course the county's got to request them to come in. But the county refused. The county was so mad because I I fired one of the detectives off Olivia's case because he was going around calling Olivia names and being very derogatory, and basically I reported him, and I wanted him off her case. So the GBI, they wouldn't do nothing. So I started calling the FBI, writing them letters, sending them emails with her case information, and they was basically, the best thing you're going to have to do, ma'am, is get about 20, 30 people to help you and file formal complaints against the county and the GBI. And that's what we did. And the fact that Lauren and Sydney and Olivia, and then there's a few more other females that are unalived under suspicious circumstances, but they tried to say that they OD'd, but we know that wasn't the case. I believe the fact that we just kept on and kept, I mean, it took us 10 months every day to get Nancy Grace to pick up the story. 10 months. We should not have to go through that. Because if you think about it, Gabby Petito, Olivia went missing right before Gabby. It took me, I literally felt like I was giving up a limb just to get a minute on the TV. And then when Gabby went missing, we had to really go hard. And I was like, why? I just feel like, what's the difference? Her and Olivia look alike. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They favor. Olivia's a little older, but still, she's no different. She's still a young woman. Olivia's got 3 children. What's the difference? Okay, I should have told y'all and said, hey, Olivia's doing a blog. Then you would have might have took it serious. And I feel like everybody should get the same. You shouldn't have to wait for a county police department to verify the information. That's why a lot of these news medias won't take the story and blast it, because the cops will not verify it. See,
That's the reason. That's the reason why we're doing this, Tammy. That's
yes,
the reason why I am trying from hell to high water to find this young man. I love your fight. Uh,
and
I
a
love your.
petition. We did do a petition to ask for to get a new set of eyes on it, but now I think it's been. I know the law down here. They passed a new law. How long has this young man been missing,
6
Victoria?
6
months
months.
almost.
Hmm. And the circumstances? He just vanished?
He just walked off.
Mm. Mm.
He just walked off, dear.
Hey, you
Mm.
guys, I don't want to interrupt or cut this one, cut it short, but Sherry's jumping off here in just a minute, and I wanted to take a moment to
Yep.
thank her again for being here and sharing Morgan's story and honoring her and spreading some love and positivity and
I got one question
highlighting
for
her.
Sherry. I got one question for Sherry.
Yes, sir.
How do you mentally handle this day by day? How did you mentally handling it through that process of finding your baby? Is there anything you can tell the families or Mona that would help them?
Well, I know what helped me, and it was, just a conscious choosing every day. So I'm a spiritual person. I'm a yoga instructor. We talked about me doing meditations earlier, but that practice is really important to me. And it's just a conscious reminder to, like, you asked me how many times I think about Morgan, and I said 1,000 times a day, but that's exactly how many times you have to remind yourself to practice. That's how many times you have to remind yourself, why you're here, and to forgive yourself, because you tell yourself all these stories that coulda, woulda, shouldas. You play
What
these
you could
shame.
have done, what you should have
Yeah,
done.
and you play.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, and you play shame games with yourself. And the thing is to remind yourself how brave you are, how courageous you are for, like, every day waking up and for doing this 1,000 times a day. And when you're not sure if you can do it another second, then you reach out to somebody. If you don't have anybody to reach out to, you reach out to me. I have a grief group that's online as well. So that's another thing I did. I created a grief group in my
What's the
community.
name of it? What's the name of it?
Called Healers Healing Healers, and it's on Facebook. It's not a huge community, but we're building, and we
That's
meet once
okay.
a month. Yeah, we meet once a month in Tarpon Springs, Florida, where I'm at, and of course we have the Missing Morgan group, where if you ever need and you want to share any information, you're welcome to communicate there. And if anybody who needs help with missing posters, I'm always willing to help in any way that we can. And just because my biggest thing is to make sure that people feel seen and heard, and they know they're not alone.
God bless you, Sherry.
Yes, and
Miss
Tyler has
Sherry,
Thank.
been shared on Missing Morgan. I can't even count how many times, multiple times.
Right, as many times as we see it, we try to share as well. And I also want to say that next month, on March 22nd, the date will be dropped on Morgan's missing date, which is February 26th. But we're going to be having a lunch and learn in Georgia to open up for a planned conference that we're going to be having. But I will be speaking there
where
as
is it
well.
going to be at?
She's going to be putting out the poster and all of that information on February 26th on Morgan's missing date. So watch for that on the Missing Morgan page. But it will be in the Covington or Conyers, Georgia area. She's just finishing up some details for that. But it will be March 22nd in Georgia. And then I will be there and as well. So if anybody, it is limited seating, but I really encourage anybody who wants to come to support
Sherry,
Sarah.
send me information,
I will do that.
and your boy will be there.
Olivia's birthday is actually March the 23rd, and
God
we're
bless you.
we're planning I'm planning a memorial that day, and so yeah, if I can get to it, I'll be there because we do the
I'll send
same.
you the invite, Tammy, to
Yes,
the group.
please, because we do the same here. Because it's sad because a lot in this little area when we've had a couple of young teenagers go missing, they don't reach out to the cops anymore. They reach out to us, and we do what we can to help. We put it out there. We start. I start talking, networking, and we have been blessed to locate those two young women. And they were in a bad situation, and I don't know, man. It's hard. I I think about Olivia all the time. I think about her children because I don't see them that much, and it's rough. It's because my family has became estranged because of this. Because I don't. A lot of people don't know the dynamics behind Olivia. But I had custody of Olivia in her younger years, her and her sister. They lived with me for a few years when they were growing up. So they're my children. And so when I don't see her mom or dad out there fighting and doing the most, that upsets me. So I don't really have any I don't if you're not going to fight and do the most for your daughter, then why should I even entertain because I feel like they know more than what they're saying. And it's just a history of bad choices that I feel that has contributed to one of the reasons why their daughter's no longer here.
We're getting a lot of that on this case. I don't even know how to say it.
I just don't
It's
understand
just, it just
how. I mean,
messy.
Olivia isn't my child. She didn't come out of me. But if she was, I'm bad now about. I can only imagine. You know, maybe that's what a mom feels. What I feel day in, day out. I can just think about her and it'll tear me down. I think about what she went through because according to what I found out, she went through a lot in her last weeks. And I'm so angry. And like she said, I ask myself every day what I
Thank you,
could have
Sherry.
did. But I don't know. I'm like, some days I just want to disappear myself. But then I'm like, well, who's going to say her name? So I can't.
I love it. I
Um,
love it.
And I
Tyler,
just,
Sherry,
go
hold on,
ahead.
Tammy. Sherry,
Yes, sir.
if you do you have to go now, baby?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I was honoring Aunt Tammy's voice.
Okay, 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 okay.
yes, you guys, we have a lot of comments in here. I'm watching you. Yes, we meaning everybody that's been, in this, looking for Tyler and, trying to do as much as you possibly can in your time to do that. Yes, that's what I'm speaking to. I'm seeing a lot of where's Tyler. Um,
We want to know where he is.
and
We
I will
want to
say
know
too,
where he is.
yes, we want to know. We want to bring this to a close. Kind of speaking to like what Tammy was saying, though, the divide that has happened, and, just thinking when we said this on the live the last time too, there's a baby, like there's a 6-month-old baby, and really thinking forward, to March, that means Tyler has been away from his baby as long as he was in that baby's life. Like that is heartbreaking to me. Um, and it sucks and it's not fair for anybody involved.
You know what? We're not blaming anybody for a divide. It's just a natural occurrence, it seems, when tragedy happens. Unfortunately,
Yes.
it is. It's just a natural travesty that happens.
I think
So we go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say emotions are high. People don't understand. I mean, no one expects to be in the position that they're in, let alone know how to handle it. There's not a handbook. I mean, I really just wish that there could be a reset button. I know that we're all humans and that sometimes that doesn't seem like it's possible, but need to focus on finding the ones that can't speak right now.
We
Yeah.
cannot do anything. I will repeat. You do not look through the rearview mirror. The only thing you get is dust. We have to look through the windshield. We have to look at the present. Things that were done in the past or things that happened to this young man will be addressed. But the first thing we need to do is find him. Then all of these speculations and suspicions will be ironed out, but none of them can be ironed out until we lay our eyes on something that is Tyler Weathersby. So all the hate, all the disconcernment about who shot John, once again, that's not the task at hand. The task at hand is to look at every video and to look at every movement that we can find that he made from that 7:15 or 7:45 or 9:22 or whenever it was. Because we know that everybody has a camera. So we need for the neighbors, the store clerks, or whoever that has a camera that they can go back to. And from what I gather, you have to have a subscription to go back to September the 4th from 7 to 8 o'clock and pull that video up and help us solve this mystery of where this young man is. Because he didn't vanish. That means that he got into somebody's car or somebody picked him up. Because Mr. Gene just didn't come and whip him away. That's what we need.
Yes, and there was a comment up here, and I kind of seen it, and then it's kind of been scrolling, but somebody said that there's likely some neighbors that are going to come forward and speak up, and I do know that I'm hopeful that that is happening with that video coming out, with Legal Eye asking for anybody, to come forward that if they know who the vehicle was, if they know who the person on the bike was. I know that there was some circulation of some new flyers too, asking for more information, some more sightings on Tyler, any vehicles coming and going from the area, that kind of thing, to please reach out. That all is kind of in the works as well.
So if there's anybody that lived on that neighborhood that can hear us, maybe we need to canvass the neighborhood and go and knock in every damn house within a 3 block radius and ask them, do you have a surveillance camera?
That was done today.
Yeah, we
You
did
know?
that here too. Yeah, we did that, and you would think in the country people would actually have a lot of cameras, but they didn't.
No, y'all ain't got none in the country. Y'all barely got electricity. What the hell, Tammy?
But that's okay. I'm ready for it. I got all my off-grid supplies.
Oh my God, Tammy, you ready for the damn war? You ready
You're
for the
right.
damn war?
Hey, I have been wanting to live off grid for years, so I'm just waiting. Once we get justice, I'm gone.
Rachel, that was done today
want to
as well.
I want to say this too, because this is the one thing that I've seen over the past week. I think it's perfectly fine for everybody to be, fierce advocates and stuff like that for Tyler. And it's not about like I don't feel like it's as much as what you're saying as how you're saying it. And I just think there are better ways to get information without being so combative.
There's always two different ways to skin a cat,
Yeah,
and the
that,
way
that's
that
true.
the way that the cat is being skinned is backwards. I think sometimes here.
Hmm.
Everybody has to communicate. Everybody has to come on the same page. As I said before, how many people can we get for vigil? I'm sorry, I sound like Tammy. A vigil on the whenever that date Lord will set up. How many people can we get there? Can we get thousands of people there? Because there are thousands of people that have opinions. So there should be thousands of people there at that vigil so we can figure out what we need to do to stay together as a team. Team Tyler is what we're going to call it. Team Tyler to find this young man.
Can I just say
Because,
that right there, that that's it right there. All of the thousands of people who have something to say, come say it.
yes,
Circle together and come find a way to work together to find Tyler. That's how we do it. What you just said. That's why I love you so much. I just thank you for that. That's it right there.
Miss Tammy, I love you too, sugar. I
And
love the fight,
that's what we
the
have to
person.
That was
do.
Sherry.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Sherry, that's what I meant. I love you too, dear, because you inspire me. You and Tammy got me ready to get on the damn road, go run to South Dakota, and start looking, start finding, start searching.
That's what we did. The cops told us, we reported her missing on a Friday. They said, well, it'll be Monday before we can start searching. I had done hit every house, I started immediately. I can't wait on y'all to come do your job. I mean, come on, man. You know how much, if y'all would have helped, we probably would have made some leadway and caught her before they did what they did. Because that's what they tried to do after it was all said and done, that it was my fault that she was unalived. That's what the cops said. It was my fault because I wouldn't stay out of it. Excuse me? It was 45 days before you ever told Fox 5 Atlanta that you had a missing person. 45 days after she vanished. Don't do that because I've got documentation. I've got all the receipts. I don't need, you gonna blame me for stuff, but in the same retrospect, offer me a job because you don't have enough detectives. Come on. But boots on the ground is the best way. I wished I lived closer, cause honey, I'd be right out there knee deep in the mud. 'Cause that picture on my profile, that's me out in the middle of the field searching in creeks and woods and houses that were condemned and abandoned. And if you look close, I think I got that shetty on in my hand.
Hey, girls, I,
Some
I
people.
love what Tammy's saying. So, let's figure out, and the temperature is getting warmer in South Dakota. Let's
What
figure
is it,
out when
negative
we,
two?
no, it's 50 degrees. It's 50 degrees today, girl.
That is some weird weather.
I know it is. But that's what we can do. We can re-innovate. I mean, we can energize this. Let's figure out a date. Let's get people together and let's search Sioux Falls up and down. We can talk to some people. We can get some dogs out, and we can search. We can look. We can poke. We can turn. Whatever we need to do, because I am in just total honest belief that nobody disappears. Therefore, if he was in some kind of mental health crisis, which possibly he could have been, he could have failed somewhere because he's got to be somewhere. That
Mhm.
much we know. He has to be somewhere. And I just have a belief that he's somewhere in Sioux Falls.
I do want to say, in order to get dogs out, you do need to work with law enforcement. So another thing to do is build within the community and ask law enforcement if there's a way to create a community together. And the reason that you do need law enforcement with dogs is because if they do find anything, remember that this becomes evidence. And then because of the chain of how things have to be, that's generally how things work. So, but working with your law enforcement, that would also help them if you think about that, because for every one officer, you could have 35 people. And so that is how you can show up as a community and support them and also get them to support you. So this could actually turn into a really big and amazing event if everybody really pulls together and creates something special and amazing, because, Tyler really deserves it. He deserves to be found, and, his mom deserves to know that her son is being looked after by every one of us.
I
I
was
do
gonna
want to address
say,
there's a comment in here about the dogs weren't certified. And I know that there was talk about a dog that was out there that was an in training dog, but there were certified search and rescue dogs that were there. And I know that because I know the person that runs the search and rescue. And if you have questions about that, Prairie Dog Canine on Facebook, you can message. Terry White is her name. She will tell you herself. She was there.
I'm also going to tell you guys too that I went last year and we did an independent search with a lady who went with Nancy Grace to look for Natalie Holloway. And we went because I know there's a difference between search dogs and cadaver dogs. And we know that this was a cadaver situation. And as soon as the dogs alerted, like it was then we had to, we had to alert authorities. But that's one of the things that people have to be really, really, you know, I don't know, really cognizant about is if you end up using any kind of private dogs, please don't touch anything.
Yeah, I can I comment on this part?
Yes.
Down here, it was a little different because there is a couple organizations that they have one down here. It's called Bikers Against Abuse, and they came in and helped, and they brought a dog because law enforcement and us, they refused to work with us. They refused to let us help. They refused. It was their case from day one. So we had two different types of search rescues that came through with a dog. One was a regular search and rescue dog, and another one, the second time, was a cadaver dog. But when we finally had some locations that we wanted to go to, we that's when we decided to reach out to law enforcement because we had gotten a lady out of Atlanta to bring her dogs, which are actually cadaver dogs. And it was so weird because they made it to where even though we're the ones that got the dogs in, we stayed, me and a friend of mine, we stayed out of it. We just stayed by the cars. That why, in case they found something, which if we ever found anything, we would call them and they would never come. I mean, ever. Never
Yeah,
would they
but
come.
yeah, but once again, Sherry just said you might not have been on. In our little towns of South Dakota, Sioux Falls, Aberdeen, whatever, when you call the police, it doesn't take them a long response time. So they
Yeah.
could be there in a matter of minutes.
And down here, I'm not gonna lie. There's three counties that these three young women, Olivia, Lauren, and Sydney, were all found unalived, and all these three counties are less than 10 minutes close together. They're sister counties. They're right beside each other. You could go from Harris County to Talbot to Meriwether in less than 15 minutes. So it wasn't that far for them to go.
Ain't Tammy, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
People always ask me, how can a black dude live in South Dakota when it's 10 below zero? Why in the hell are you there? Because this sounds like nothing but carnage going on there.
It is.
The only reason I came back to Georgia, because before I came back to Georgia, I'm from here, but I moved. I was living in Florida, and my nieces needed me, so I packed up. I came home, and after I did that, my mom got sick and my dad got sick, so they both passed on. And my mom, when she passed, she said, "Look out for the girls," and that's why I'm still here.
God
Once
bless
I
you.
get, because I can't leave. I still have a niece with her two children, and Olivia's three children are still here. And until I can get them some answers, I have to be, because Roxanne, Olivia's sister, she can't go to her mom, her parents. She came here the other day, that's what, to visit me after we didn't talk for almost 2.5 years because of all this mess. But now we're coming together, which is a blessing. And it's just like you said, it's really bad. Georgia is like Georgia and Florida are
Great,
two of the
great,
top states.
great. That's where I'm sitting at right now. Don't be saying that because I got to leave tomorrow. let me ask you. This is
Um,
this question's for you and Sherry, Tammy.
Okay.
What would you say to the families if you were looking in, if you were in front of their, if you were in front of their faces right now? What advice would you give them?
Miss Sherry, you're welcome to go first.
You know, I if I were looking in any of their eyes right now, the only thing that I could give them is that I'm going to pray for you first, and second, just to hold faith and just to keep praying and to remember that you're not alone, and just keep again just coming back to it 1,000 times a day if you have to, just giving yourself grace, giving yourself ease, and just giving yourself a hug once in a while for showing up for yourself and for your family member, because it's not easy. And to also remember to take care of yourself through this. And if there's anything that I can do, you can find me through the Missing Morgan page on Facebook for sure. Um, and obviously here, I'm so
Oh,
sorry, and I just am praying for all of you.
I got a great one. Tammy, hold on for a second. I got you, Tammy. Sherry, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yes, sir.
How can we get, or how should the mother, the family, the wife, what should they be doing as one entity?
You know, the biggest thing, if you could find a way to like focus on one page and just sharing as much information as you know, and even if you don't share it publicly, finding a way to communicate, maybe one family member can talk between everyone, because the more information that you know or that you can share with each other, that's how you find inconsistencies. That's how you find things that, hey, I didn't know that, with a cold case like this, our minds spin out of control and we're overthinking. So the next thing, I remind each of you to do is, how do I say this the right way? When we talk about spirituality and we talk about Jesus, he said two things, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. And the other thing he taught us was to love your enemy, right? And so as we keep practicing this, just to keep remember to staying in the integrity of love in your heart, and just to keep refocusing over and over again on finding Tyler and doing anything that you can, to communicate, and as hard as it is, in a patient, compassionate manner, if you can.
Hey, you guys, there's somebody, I invited them actually to come up and speak. I don't know who this Tia Kemp Coded is, but um, that's obviously I don't know, that's not your name, but um, again, you can come to my inbox anytime. I don't know why you think you know me, but feel free to jump on in or whatever you
Hey,
want. It's just
I need to
Laura,
revisit
to sit
something.
here and talk shit. I do this all day, every day for every missing person in South Dakota.
Laura,
I want
I'd like for you to do
Hey,
a
Tia,
favor.
come on up. Tia,
Oh, come on down. Come on up.
come on up, Tia.
You can click to come up. I need to say something too. Um, Going back to the dogs thing, sometimes the reason why it's easier when it's individuals has to do with the fact that individuals have a lot more leeway than cops do. It's easier, to get consent from people to search properties and things like that. That's what I did. I was absolutely able to get consent for this particular piece of property. So they didn't have to worry about, doing anything special. So we went there, did the initial legwork, and then, the cops went in. But the cops have to still worry about Fourth Amendment and all of that. So
That's what we ended up. We had some places that was really the problem, because nobody would talk to the cops. And that's why they would call me. I mean, I knew a lot of the people. I grew up over there. So we were running, and there was one particular property that they had been trying to get access to for apparently a couple of years, because this guy was known for doing some bad things, but they were scared. But we were able to get permission to go into the home. And that's when we called them in and we were like, hey, Y'all wanting to access this property? We got these cadaver dogs. Go for it. But then they honestly they lied. They went in, they found something, and then they disappeared. It was just, and they just covering up.
Yeah, who was the kid on the bike? Does anybody know his whereabouts?
I don't think it's a kid.
Well, he looks like a grown man. Well, I
Yeah.
just mean kid, not literally. But does anybody know who he was? Has anybody tried to search for him, Laura?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Nope, I don't think anybody's come forward on that yet.
Well,
Um,
somebody just posted something and they said, if anybody wants Tyler Fines, I'm not going to use the terminology grow up because everybody's grown. I'll use the terminology of let's all come together. Because if I and all of my group can come together with all the plethora of things that we got going, and I find this important, I think everybody in South Dakota or anybody that's listening should help us, please, because there's a lot of injustices that go on in this world every single day. And a lot of them we have no control over. And I'm not saying we have a lot of control over this because obviously, if we did, we would have found him 6 months ago. But as I said before, there's nothing we can do with the past. 6 months have passed. But let's make sure another 6 months doesn't pass. Let's make sure another week doesn't pass. So let's get our ass on the ground and let's start shaking bushes, or doing whatever we need to do to bring this young man home. Because the family, his wife, needs some resolve. That little baby needs to see her daddy, or that little baby needs to know. Families, you need to come together. You need to forget about differences if there's any differences, if there's any kind of confusion or misconduct in any way, shape, or form. Do me a favor, please, for me, for all of my group, for all of Justice 929, could we please set differences to the side and let's come together as one team, an army for Tyler to find him? Please, please.
yes, I'm watching you. I had seen your comments. I was just waiting for a second to interrupt. I don't know what your name is really either. We got codes on here, but yes, I can answer that question. The comment that was made about the search and that kind of thing in the neighborhood. I don't know as though there's been an organized search in that area in the last couple months. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will, Tia. But there was flyers passed out. There's a lady that's in here right now that is very active as well, and she was part of the team that passed out flyers soliciting for sightings for vehicles coming and going from the neighborhood. That happened today. So if it's not clear, go ahead and comment, and I'll try to address you again. Yes, I stated I'm watching you. I stated yes today.
They
Amy,
they
can you
were
make
they
sure you
canvassed the
send me
neighborhood
his
today.
picture?
What's that, Tammy?
Make sure you send me his flyers
Okay, I will.
so we can get them out on our platforms down here.
Okay.
We've got somebody else came up here.
Yep, it would. I'm actually Uncle Sam's
Oh,
son, Sean.
oh, this is my smart son
I
from
live in.
Seattle,
Yeah.
and he was giving some of his he was
Well,
throwing in some comments about some of the things because he used to live in South Dakota
yeah,
as a black man.
I've grown up in South Dakota my whole life, and what happened to him is the fear that I had the entire time I ever lived there. It's one of the reasons why I moved to Washington. It just wasn't simply like in my comfort zone anymore. The vibe that I was getting, even within the extreme privilege that we had in Rapid City, and I grew up in a way different way than most people did. And so but I know for a fact that I would never get on a boat with half my friends ever again or go in the woods with them because I honest to God wouldn't feel safe if I came out of it alive. And so I know exactly what the fear that if something did happen like that, what is the likelihood that someone's going to care enough to involve themselves passionately enough to get down there and actually root it out? Because it really I've watched all these documentaries ever since my cousin died. I've watched like thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of just like just variabilities of things that can be done. And you're right, boots on the ground, making sure that every aerial outside of the vicinity is covered from above, like having drone footage shot, reference points in which that you can go to and see, hey, where were their coordinated attacks in regards to us knocking doors and us handing flyers out, and how many of the flyers were we able to actually communicate and give out to people they would be receptive of, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of different tactics. And the fact that, like, in South Dakota, we don't have any kind of organized group of people that want to do this kind of stuff. But I know a ton of people who are, like, just stay at home moms who just do this, like, real crime, like, research all day long.
Well, we've seen a lot. We heard about a lot of them.
No, I mean, I know. I mean, I don't want to
We
get on the
definitely see a
list.
lot of them. We
I don't
definitely seen a
know.
lot of them, and that's where we're trying to move from. We're trying to move from the computer investigator, and
And
let's
to the
get people
ground level.
moving. Yeah, and
Yeah.
let's get people moving.
Well, that's what I
Yeah,
was
to get
You're
up
thinking
in
talking
the
about.
about
chaos.
me,
Boots
I was
on the
Laura.
texting
ground.
my dad privately. I was like, hey, we can get horses, side by sides, four wheelers. I was thinking about all the South Dakota things that we would use. Like, if we lost one of our dogs, like the amount of effort that we would go through to find it. But, like, I mean, I've had people care more about finding my dog when it went missing in Rapid City than they have about this boy going missing. I just researched. This is sad. This is sad.
Yes, Sean, you are so right. If these people would share flyers for missing people the way they do these missing, I love my fur babies too, and I would do the same. But
Me
our
too.
missing
But
humans are just as important.
let me tell you right now, if I went missing, my dad, I don't know. I tell people all the time, I was like, I'm the wrong one. I was like, my dad will burn down this entire city trying to find me.
Yeah, we have to find them. So so
So,
Amy, what were you
so,
saying,
T-
baby?
I was telling Laura that Tia was talking about me because um, she said, why do you even have a group to Christy? And I said, because anyone can. And they said something like, so interesting from someone who doesn't know about the case. And I don't know why that's
Wow,
so interesting. That's just stupid.
That's
Anybody
wow.
very
can go
stupid.
make a page. It's a place for people to put things. And in all honesty, sometimes it's better to have somebody who's on the outside because
Exactly.
there's less of an emotional attachment to certain information. I can tell you that from working in the legal field, like I was helping somebody with, getting an attorney in a different area. And anyhow, what happened was she was sitting there giving information about things that weren't important. And I had to keep like saying, no, back up. You don't need to
Yeah.
talk about this instead. So there's a lot of things that,
Context.
legally speaking, may not be as important, morally speaking, and vice versa.
Yep.
Yep.
I
And
mean that
yeah,
it's
again, I
it's
invited you up, Tia.
it's
We can
getting
all hide behind
information
the
and
screen, but
deciphering
we're
it.
out here talking.
Like, anytime anybody reports something, we have all these new AI features. We can have an AI that filters through any of the reports so that somebody will send in through an email, and then we can quantify exactly how many of what have we heard from the same spot. Maybe occupy some efforts on that point. There's so many ways to go about doing this to have made it more of an united front. I do find that it's really sad the amount of effort. Someone mentioned Gabby. I mean, I remembered when that happened. That happened about a month and a half before I got out of about a same kind of situation that my dad had been worried about for many years. And so I literally thought that was going to be me. And so when it did happen to her, my guard was up. I was remodeling a house I had just bought, and thank God I didn't die, but I went to the hospital for a long time. But that reminded, like, that whole situation with Gabby, like her going missing, the response time. Now I will tell everybody we had a unique experience with what happened with my cousin having the response that we did. Like nobody has ever had a response like that before, and because of that unique experience, it can be compared to what seeing how even a minimal amount of experience of something of effort wise can be shown, and I'm not seeing that. Like, we literally had a guy get shot 5 times in an elevator in my building last night, and his father is handicapped and he's his only son and he's special needs. And so these kids robbed this special needs kid for weed and killed him in the elevator in our building. and now they're
It's
missing.
terrible.
And so, like, I mean, now we've got crime against crime, all these things happening now. This kid who just wanted friends, and then these people came into his life and befriended him, and they tricked him. And that's. I'm sitting here thinking about this guy in South Dakota, and I'm like, Tyler had some friends who tricked him into thinking. My dad used to tell me all the time, he's like, stop trusting so and so and so. Those people are not good for you. And I'll ask him. I email him all the time. I was like, you know what, you were right. You can't just trust everybody.
So
Not
I
everybody
don't,
is your friend.
and that's the whole key to us. We don't know who he trusted. We don't know what
Exactly.
happened to him. All we know is
Nobody's giving
something
me.
happened. Something happened that was wrong, and somebody knows something. That's all I know, and I know that from the bottom of my heart. There's somebody that knows something, and I'm going to shout and scream until I have no voice. And we're going to keep having these lives. We're going to keep talking about this situation until we talk somebody to death, so they'll say, "Shit, let me just tell somebody something," because I'm tired of hearing about it.
Well, in South
Because
Dakota,
this
what
ain't
we
going
have to
away.
do is we
Yeah,
always have to use who we know. And, I do have a couple of months of school off. So I'm
yeah.
definitely willing to come down and help out, Dad. So
So you eat too much though. Anyhow,
I wish.
I love you, man.
Love you too, Dad.
But yeah, Tammy,
Yes.
what would you tell the families? How would you tell the families to be united? You told me that your family, you started back reaching out to your family members or some estranged members. You know,
Well,
no,
my other niece and I, we're back talking and just working on it. But it's what I would tell the families is just never give up, never lose hope, and pray about it. And like Miss Sherry said, keep the faith and just encourage them to. Sometimes you're going to have to be aggressive and you're going to make some people mad, but you want to find your loved one. You're not out to condemn the world. You just want to find out where your loved one is. You know, I mean, we're hurting. We're hurting deep. I mean, and it's a wound that you can't, it's not going to heal until it's laid to rest. And she's not laid to rest until she has her justice. So I encourage all families. And like Miss Sherry said, reach out to other families that knows what it's like. There's so many of us out here now that never in a million years thought that we would be doing the things we do. I find comfort in helping families and letting them know that you're not alone. And I know what you're going through. Try the, and another lady in here, I think it's Miss Jules, she said there is no handbook on missing persons. Well, it might be it's a good time to have one. The steps to take is something I've been thinking about. It's not something I've want, but no, there's not a how to. And what's the first thing you do? Report it to the police. A lot of people, even though they're going to say you can't for 24 hours, but those laws are changing. So I encourage families to take a stand, be vocal, be their loved one's voice, because at this moment, they don't have that voice. So it's our jobs as family to be their voice. And I wish and I pray every day that my family and I can come together at some point, and unite, but they've basically moved on, so I respect they deal with grief how they deal with it. If that's the case, it's not my place to say or judge. I just know with me personally, it's not in me to just move on. It's not finished. You know, her story is not over. It's just beginning. So my main thing I tell anybody is just don't give up. Keep pushing and keep the hope alive, because I do see young people, I see people being found after years and they're alive and they're okay, and I was so hopeful all the way up until my birthday of August 22nd. 2022, when I was notified that that was my niece's remains. My hope was still alive, that she was still out there.
Now, and let me reiterate, if you are out there, Tyler, and you can hear us, it's not a crime to take a break from your family. It's morally wrong, but it's not a crime. So you cannot get charged for leaving. You cannot get charged for disappearing. So if you're hearing us, please know this. We need to see you. You have thousands of people calling you home, my man.
Yes.
And I wanted to say, I might be new, but I do think it is important for people to talk. And I don't care who it is that's talking, whether it's, Mona, whether it's his like mom or brother, or even you guys. As long as I would be happy to even host a live where you guys come up and tell what you know. As long as you're not sitting there going, and she did this and they did that and blah, blah, blah. Like, stick to the facts.
And Tia, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say this. I don't want to
It's
be directing stuff at you. But I seen your comment that you were also blocked, and it's interesting to me. Because from everything you've kind of commented, you've been boots on the ground and you've been, active and advocating. And I will tell you, I can, kind of, I get that because again, the same way I made the original flyer that went out. Um, it's frustrating. And there are people that are blocked that are, kind of in the same situation.
Place what page?
Say that
What is
again.
that? Where's Tyler? So we do stick to facts. You place the whole page on everyone. I don't know what that means.
I didn't see what it said.
Oh, I can have more moderators. That's not a problem.
I didn't see what did the comment say?
Because I had said stick to the facts. If we want to do a live and they want to come up and teach all of us whatever, I said stick to the facts, not point fingers. And whereas Tyler said we do stick to the facts. You place a whole page on everyone, but I don't know what that means.
Oh, I don't either.
to
But
the
like you
fact,
said,
get off
we're
topic,
more
doesn't
than
get, that's
open,
it.
more than open for anybody to come up and join. We just are purely doing this to keep the momentum, keep the questions being asked. Last week it was, about this briefing that was supposed to be coming. And I get there was a lot of questions about that as well, why that came from where it came from. Um, and I have questions about that as well. And we don't know the answers to that without, actually asking, the police department themselves. And maybe that's something we need to do. These briefings that they're doing, I don't know if those are open to the public. I believe that they are. And I heard they're 10 o'clock, certain days, but maybe that's something that we need to, organize people to be in there to ask those questions. So they are addressing that. Because I'm sure they heard it. I'm sure that they, caught wind of it. So, um, I didn't see if there's any other questions in there. Sorry, they're going really fast. I'm not seeing all of them. Oh, it's press only, Christy. Okay. Did I organize the flyers today? Not really organize them. No. Did I know of it? Yes.
There's a post that said, Laura said what to Mona?
Laura said, "What is it?" I don't know what that says. There is a post that
That
said
said,
Laura.
Laura was told by Mona.
Oh, by Mona, what? That Tamian knew about the police briefing. Is that what we're talking about?
Mona said it in here last week.
Yes. Yes. Yep, I did say that on the live last week. And Mona said something about it as well. Yes. How did Tamian know? Because he was told by the police department. Why the family wasn't contacted and why did they didn't know about that, firsthand? I don't know the answer to that. I'm curious as well.
You can go look at my YouTube because I have the video up from last week, and I'll put this one up too. But you can go look, and it was definitely talked about there.
Yes, Janine, Greg, Micah, Christine. Yes, those are Tyler's siblings.
Is there a monetary reward for him?
Not that I've seen.
I don't know, but we need to figure one out.
If that would tip the
When,
scale.
yeah, we need to figure one out. We need to figure one out.
Is there
Okay, bye,
I don't know if
Tammy.
you guys
Love
were
you.
Bye, T.
Tammy. If anyone else is I don't know, are we closing out or do we want to? I don't know if
A
anybody
lot of us here
wants
for
to.
Janine. Oh wait, what's this? A lot of us are here for Janine. I would love to talk to Miss Janine. And I have talked to her via messenger, and maybe one day, she'll want to have the strength to come up here and and let's hear her voice. I am welcome to have anybody to come and express how they feel.
I'm going to greatly disagree with the fact that things like passing out flyers should just be run by the family,
Oh my
because there are
God.
there are a lot of times that families don't know what to do. They don't have the resources to go about doing it. They don't. Okay, just making sure that's not what was said, because that is something that we've actually I've had people talk about before, and it's a hard road to navigate.
You
Oh, the
win wars.
monetary
You
reward.
will win wars with armies.
Mhm.
You know,
Where's
whether
Tyler? What topic did you want to go back to?
I don't think it should be run by anybody. It should be in a trust.
Not sure. Oh, when they're talking about the reward. Okay.
oh yeah, I bet you we'll get
That's
some. I bet you we'll get some responses off that.
Yeah, anytime that you have some kind of backup plan for people and you can offer an incentivization for a community, whether it be small or large, the data points that can come in from that are always vital because maybe it's somebody who actually did see something, right? Like, I mean,
And they're afraid to say anything.
exactly. Or and like like people are like, hey, okay, so we did this and we were desperate and this situation happened and guess what? I just need this to get me out of this spot and it's better if I just go ahead and do this now because you know what? A deal later is always better than a charge in the future. A deal now is better than a charge in the future if you're one of those types of people. I
I
mean,
had
it's the downside of law, I suppose.
I had
Who's
two
scared?
search experts on last week, and y'all were mad about them too.
Yep, they weren't educated enough. They didn't know enough about the case, and
I
they were
think people
just.
didn't understand that you can kind of come and go in these, and they actually came in late, and I asked them to come up here, and and they didn't have to research to answer the questions that we were asking, and it's perfectly fine for them to ask things because again they just
It's
came into view and I invited them
it's their
up. But
professional
hold on,
opinion.
but
Well, I
you
mean, the
guys
nuances
took
are all
that and
different.
ran with it and made it into something that it absolutely was not, and that was not fair either.
and
Those two experts
Amy
have
too.
thousands of hours,
Yes, and
if
they
not
Thousands of hours.
tens of thousands of hours of
and I know a
Yes,
lot
experience.
of us have spoke to them since then, and they have been researching the case,
absolutely.
and we will. I'm sure they will be back because they've done some legwork on that too, and they've done a lot of very high profile cases. These are not like people that are green to this. Like this is what they do, and I do hope that they will come back and kind of speak on the things that they've come up with and they've seen and found and whatever they've come up with.
Again, don't say let's hope they're better prepared because they
Oh my
weren't expecting to
God.
come up here. They were invited because they came in, and I was like, ooh, two search people. Let's bring them up.
Yes.
I mean, I
I
know
really,
lots of people with search dogs in South Dakota. I mean, I just people and their dogs. It's a really big culture, especially with like where we live with hunting and whatnot. The ability to be able to organize people to do things on private property with an organization that had a good footing, wouldn't be as hard. And it just comes down to just how you organize it and how and who is doing it and how's it going about. Because I mean, South Dakota is always going to be South Dakota.
Thank you, Angie. Yes, Tia, come on up. I do have resources to a couple people with two different sets of search and rescue dogs. And then also they're obviously blood and cadaver trained as
yeah.
well, scent detection.
I don't make TikTok. Now, who makes
The
TikToks and show
cadaver
offs?
stuff
What's
can
that?
be detected for like hundreds of years.
Yeah, absolutely they can.
TikToks and show off. That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah, who
I
does the
do a lot.
TikToks
I
and
do
show off?
almost all of my advocacy work is private.
Saying my name. I told
See,
you
people
no,
keep talking
lady.
shit, Tia.
Why do you keep saying my name? I told you
Good.
no, lady.
I
So it's my understanding. So we went with when we went out to the one that I was talking about earlier. It was we went with Tracy Sargent, and she is the one that was went with Nancy Greystone to look for Natalie Holloway, and she talked to me a lot about the way cadaver dogs work and stuff like that. And she said that if somebody had like cut their finger and even just bled a little bit right there, that could even be picked up by those particular dogs. So they look for the scent of blood and human remains, whereas the other ones work on the scent of the individual.
Yes. I have
And
Mona's not a doctor. That was her opinion.
there is a way to get cadaver dogs out there. It's just a matter of finding the right ones and asking. And Tyler's mental health, I mean, anybody who walks off, it's not like it's why should it not be questioned?
Mhm.
It's one of those things that could be an issue. Can we normalize talking about mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first person to do that. I had a mental health crash a couple of years ago, and if my mother had not sent
Wife
me
a
a
hoe.
cell phone
My wife a
right
hoe.
when she did,
Why is
I
that?
probably would have completely lost contact with my parents. And it was like what I was saying earlier, when you get locked out of your cell phone or you get locked out of your social media access points, which I mean, that's all we really have these days. Like that's basically losing our identity. It's like losing your driver's license or your passport traveling. So if you lose contact with your family and you're far away, say you were like I mean, some bad stuff happened. And
Yeah.
if you don't have a way to get back to that, it sometimes takes having the help of others to find you. I mean, look at how many times they find people who used to be like sports players that are on the street, and they're like, "Oh wow, I can't believe this person's out here." I mean, it happens to us all.
Tamara, you made a really good point, and I obviously observed that too. The first videos that were out, I mean, my opinion is that in segments of that video, like Tyler looked pained. He looked very, very much different than the video that was shown with the bike and the car. Completely different to me as well. That's a good point. And like, what do we take from that?
Yeah, he did look very different because when he was kind of like dragging in the video around the neighborhood, but it was there was energy in the intersection video that wasn't there in the other one.
Absolutely. And that's something too. They have a map of the timeline in the neighborhood, where he's seen on these ring cameras. But then when this other video comes out, I believe the timestamp, or I know the timestamp on it said 7:37 a.m. And my understanding of that dash cam is that it's kind of like a cell phone where if you move to a different time zone, like it automatically updates, that kind of thing. But there's always, kind of that room for error. And that's why they kind of put it as, before 8 o'clock, because they can't really pinpoint that without testing these other cameras as well and checking their date and time stamps, that kind of thing, to make sure that those are accurate as well, to kind of know was that before or after the neighborhood, or how that all lines up into all that.
Geolocating is very hard if you don't have like like regular connections to like towers. So, and we have tower problems in South Dakota. So often you can easily go outside of reception and that you can't get picked up. And so like that's why I said, there needs to be a little bit, probably a little bit more aerial search done. Like in drones now, it used to be you had to pay for helicopters. Now we can just get some drones and do it. And that way we can like search through if we needed to send people to a specific property or to a specific place and then get permission organized that way. That might be the smarter way to go about doing something like that too.
And last week, I actually asked about, because I didn't know at what time period this took place. And that's why I asked about, like, baby stuff too, because I mean, my ass has been dragging before when I've had a baby because I couldn't sleep that night or whatever. So if I was up walking around, I probably would have looked a lot like that too. Uh, but that's all I'm saying is that there are a lot of things that come into it, and it doesn't mean that we can't ask those questions if it's something like we're not trying to diagnose him. We're not trying to give him medicine. That's for professionals. We're just talking.
He could have took some melatonin and was riding his bike around and accidentally fell off of a bridge into a creek or something. You know how many times I've been floating down creeks in the middle of South Dakota and there's like remains of some animal like underneath the water, and I'm like, why do y'all have me out here?
Oh my gosh.
That's
I will say
creepy.
too, just going back to that, that camera footage, there's, you guys, I'm sure if you're in the groups or have been in the groups, there's a timeline. Somebody made like a Google Doc, and on that Google Doc, it says 737 walking, I believe it was east on Oak Crest. So that's why I say the timelines are kind of a little off somehow, because 737 is the time on that dash cam as well.
South Dakota and the police, it's just always just something. It's a dice roll.
Yeah,
Well,
this
ladies, I think we have covered an awful lot of information. Uh, I think that there's a lot of questions been asked and answered, and I think that we will continue to answer questions, and I'm sure we will continue to get asked questions. But this is a start in the right direction for the second week. We still have
I,
we're still having his name uh, yelled and screamed and talked about. So let's keep this momentum up. Please, let's continue
I,
to have these chats. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would like to say too that I would love if anybody would like to talk to me and fill me in more on this Tamian, the church, and things like that, the Freemason stuff. I would love to talk more about that just because that's a little bit harder to research. And so having people who are, local and more knowledgeable about it would be amazing. Just putting it out there.
For sure. I always reach out to my girl, Amy Ray Davis, that 1%. That one
Please. I'm Amy
percenter.
Ray Davis on all social media too. So
You know,
just in case you don't want to talk to me here or anywhere else, you can find me everywhere else.
So Laura Bullock,
yes.
missing persons of South Dakota. Uh, what do you got to say before we end this one? And we will prepare for another one next week.
Again, just, we want to keep pushing, where's Tyler? Keep advocating for him, keep speaking his name, asking the questions, and trying to build some sort of unity to get this ball rolling in the right direction. I don't know where it's rolling right
Okay,
this minute, but it's
oh
been,
wait, Angie just popped up on the scene.
I will
Who's
say
Angie?
too.
Hi
Lindsay, do
there.
you need to come
Hi.
up here?
Yeah, I just have to say one thing. You guys can do searches on your own. You don't need to have people advocate for you to do searches. You can search anywhere. You can put flyers up anywhere.
Uh,
I'm seeing that a lot in the comments where people are saying, well, they don't want us to, or it's only been local, or somebody doesn't want this or that. You can do that.
If people don't want people to look for somebody, question that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yes.
Like ask
go
every
up on
time,
your
anytime,
own.
always make questions and ask why somebody doesn't want someone found, especially if they have a family. And if the community doesn't want to do it because it's a person that's a 1%, like of a population and people don't care, then somebody's got to be advocating and doing it.
Exactly. I mean,
And
one of
we're
the comments was, but again, a lot was not pushed by her, whoever her is, to be able to get to the surrounding areas. You don't have to. Go upon yourself and do it. You
especially,
don't
yeah,
need the
like I
wife's
mean,
permission to do anything.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
take a bike ride. Take a
If
bike
you
ride.
guys see
Where are you
something,
located, Angie?
if you see something or know something, go to the police.
absolutely
Don't
see something,
investigate
say something.
yourself, because if it would happen to become a crime scene or something of such, then you're in the middle of it all and you don't want that.
At all.
Where are you located, Angie?
I'm in Nebraska.
Okay, right on the
But if
street.
you're able to at least help identify an area that is of importance, we keep mentioning back to Gabby, had that couple not videotaped seeing their van in where they did, they would have never
Right.
found her remains in the Tetons. If you've ever been to Wyoming, it is a vast place.
And where's Tyler? You're not going to get any answers out of Mona. So just leave her out of the question for right now. She's
Yeah.
not going to speak. She says she doesn't know. She doesn't know. Whether you want to believe that or not, go.
Yeah. Wait for
If
the
you know,
facts.
if you know something and somebody's saying something else, then take it to the police. Let them investigate it. Let them question Mona. All you're doing is pushing further away and getting more resistance instead of coming together.
Exactly.
When we
Maybe
And
don't
that's
I
what
have
coming
that
understand there's a
together
lot of
ability to
does
search
go.
make a
when you don't have
difference.
leads, but that's why you need
You
to
got
get out
leads.
there.
Yep.
Go push the flyers somewhere. Go to another city. Somebody from that city may say, hey, oh, that's right. Let me
Exactly.
call because now I know that somebody's being looked for.
Every single
It's a hard situation when you don't have leads, but that's what you
every
have to
single
do.
community has like one of those Facebook town talks, having somebody go through and do every single county in South Dakota. Like what is
Ooh,
there, like
y'all
60? Like I
next
mean,
door.
The,
What happened?
the others, the other
What
thing that you
happened?
can do is press your law enforcement agents. Go to the I don't know, go to the courthouse, go to the police, go to the chief, go to wherever. Demand answers.
But don't do nothing. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Don't accuse people. Don't try to investigate on your own.
yeah,
Andrew, what do you think about a visual?
Vigil would help, I would think.
yeah. I mean, especially if you
But
get
again, that kind of creates animosity between two families that don't get along.
well, if it's done by a
It's not
neutral
about the
party.
families.
I
It's not about the
understand that.
families.
But
What if it's
that's what
done by
these
like?
people in the comments are doing.
But what if say like our organization went and did it because we wanted to? We had questions and we just wanted to know. Like me and my brothers will definitely go with my dad and go with people and be like, okay, we would like to know where this boy is.
Like I said, y'all, we got a lot of questions. We got a lot of answers. But the fact is, there's no Tyler. And until he's found, we cannot give up. We can absolutely not give up. So
Right.
all the throwing, the stone throwing and word tossing,
Doesn't help
save it.
anything.
Save it until after we find the young man. Then we can deal with the facts. And as we know, what's done in the dark shall come to the light. So
Eventually.
Yeah.
wherever there's darkness, the light's got to shine sooner or later. As we just heard, we were just talking to Miss Sherry. It took 7 years.
Yep.
We were talking to Tammy. She's been searching for 4 years.
Look at how many
Guess
people they found when they were looking for Gabby. They found 8 or 9 other people while looking for that girl that some of them had been missing for many years.
so. What we know is we can't stop.
And some of these people were found just in ditches. That people
You
just
know,
didn't
so
see them.
Yep. So Julie, what do you got to say, girl?
I say that we just keep doing what we're doing and bring more awareness to it. And Sean, you have some really good ideas. And Angie, thanks for what you've done. And
Sure. I was
we,
just getting
course you-
frustrated by people saying we can't go anywhere. We're not finding leads. Well, you won't. I mean,
You
if
won't. You
gotta search
make
for
the
the
lead.
leads, but you can't investigate them. You just have to look and get the word out and spread it around.
Exactly.
But thank
And
you.
in saying that too, that like the question came up about, soliciting, for more camera footage and that kind of thing. I know the neighborhood was done, but I don't believe any businesses were touched at all. So that may be, an opportunity too to get out there and ask about camera footage in
I
that
was,
area, to these businesses. That's
True.
a tangible way that we can, get the word spread more and ask for more answers.
I was just going to say, you could go neighbor to neighbor yourself. You don't need anybody to physically do that. You can
Oh,
go
I know. My dad
yourself.
used to make me go and knock doors for cards when I was a kid for our business. I have no
So
problem doing that.
so
Yeah.
oh
And you
yeah,
guys,
Sean.
everybody in the comments too, if you guys have, if you have ideas or thoughts or, you want to come up on the live or you want to, touch on points you want to talk about, like send them
Or,
to Amy. We're all
or
open
bounce
to it. We
questions
just
off
want
of
to
us
keep
if
the
you want to come up.
conversation. We want the conversation to continue so that the momentum continues and ultimately we can bring Tyler home. That's
Amy,
really
Yeah.
I followed you on Instagram, so if you need some backup, I got you.
Okay.
Amy, Jules,
Yes.
this is Sean. You'll be meeting him. That's my boy. Sean, Amy is my VP, and Jules is the president, and Laura is the director of missing persons.
Well, ladies, it was
So,
very nice to meet you. Let's hopefully
Nice to meet
do
you.
something about trying to find some of these people. I mean, we got to start somewhere. The
Right.
wheel has to turn in a way in which people can get that going, right? You're not gonna it doesn't unless you put it together, it's not gonna spin. So
Right.
we gotta figure out something.
Instead of putting energy into blaming people or saying the
Exactly.
family knows this or they know that or they're not doing this or not doing that, go put the flyers out in the next town.
Well, I'll just say if we just all stay in one universal idea, and don't go off in the conspiracies, don't go off in the
Right.
ideas, just stick to the fact, to the point. There's a reason why we got done what we got done. It's because we stuck to the facts. We didn't bring any salacious stuff up.
Or how about, some of these people like you're talking down there in the comments about bring Tammy back. The comments not being read and stuff like that. You spend a lot of time questioning things like, who organized the flyers today and, who did this and why? Why does that even matter? Like, let's just reframe and
I guess some
focus
of these
on
people
another
probably have
stuff.
never worked in grassroots efforts, either on campaigns or within other NGOs and other nonprofits and stuff. It takes a little bit of wherewithal to understand how to navigate the world that we have to do when we're in such sensitive topics like this, right? It's not for everyday people, but you're going to have the dialogue of everyday people because everyone's opinion is blasted out all the time. That being said, sometimes that information is helpful because somebody might know something.
Yeah.
well, kids, once again, as we come to the close of this, thank you, Sean, Julie,
Of course.
Amy, Laura,
Yes.
my girl, and Miss Angie. Thanks for joining.
Sure.
Hey,
Thank you for having me.
everyone, it's been a long night, and we've discussed, we've talked, we answered questions. Let's put our efforts to work. And once again, I thank y'all all for joining us, and we'll be back next week because we're not going to stop. And as I always say, y'all, we always have to dream, breathe, and deliver. And that's fine, Tyler. Does anybody else have any closing words?
No, thank you
No.
everybody for being on and keeping us going.
Well, with that being said, God bless you. I'm out. Love you, kids.
Of course.
Bye.
Bye.